But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you.
Which is the first commandment of all?
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might, and with all thy strength. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Master, thou hast said the truth. There is one God, and none other but He. And to love Him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all the whole burnt offerings and sacrifices.
Thou art not far from the kingdom of God.
Bro, why like
Yo, can I do a freestyle for you guys?
Heck yeah, go ahead.
All right, dope. I appreciate that. So, can y'all give me like some words to challenge me to use in my freestyle?
What are some words? Vinegar.
Vinegar? Nice.
Vinegar. What do you want to do? You gotta pick one. Hurry.
Towel.
Towel.
Towel? All right, let's get one more. Give me a complicated one, you know, really challenge me.
Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia. All right, vinegar,
Yeah.
towel, and encyclopedia. Those are the words. Y'all ready?
Yep.
All right, let's get it. Off the top, I'ma win with words. Me and rappers don't mix oil and vinegar. I'm about to break it down. I'm dropping hella blessings. Adding vinegar when I be making salad dressing. I'ma hit it with the flavor. My verses are major. I be hot like islands by equator. I shock like a taser. Y'all know I'm precise. And every time I rhyme, I'm a god. Soon as the track drops, so it's making you nod. Let's hit it. Neck going off at the top. I just keep it all in motion and I'm not gonna stop. Okay, I'm all up on it and these rappers couldn't front on me. You rocking that cap by the Whiskey Bent Hat Company. Hey yo, I seen it so I must incorporate. These rappers see me beaming and then they saw the hate. I get reckless, I'm blowing up and homie they expect this. Hey yo, we about to check kids up off our checklist. I thought it was cause of my hard flow. Really it's the dog bark though that made her startled. Yeah, hey yo, it happened in an instant. Dreaming of these moments ever since when I was an infant. Yeah, we all up on it and I'm flexing. I utilize my own brain like a weapon. Hey yo, rappers doing me foul, so they making me scowl. When I spit, your brain be soaking up the knowledge like towels. Listen, I'm about to make my speech wow. All listeners while I stretch like a beach towel. Over top of the sand, check how I'm rocking the jam. I be doing the impossible, man. Said I be breaking it down whenever I'm spitting. Y'all know I'm doing that rap work. All three of us are straight up matching in these black shirts. Yeah, it's sorta like we coordinated. When it comes to flexing, dog, I'm more than greatness. I go beyond that with strong raps. I steady make contact with listeners. I be the top positioner. I spit what I envision, bro. I gotta get it done. My heart is the location that I often spit it from. Lifts me up high every time that I do this. All in my brain where the truth is. Whenever I spit, I get ruthless. Yeah, and other rappers, I really don't know what they thinking. What's that you're holding right now? Is that a pink pen? Hey yo, oh no, it's a makeup brush. Other rappers lie in their songs and they make up stuff. Yeah, y'all know I eat them up like clam chowder. I'ma crush a rapper until the man's powder. Like what you using all atop your flesh, I address these lyrics more speedier. Every time I rhyme, and y'all know that I be feeding ya the knowledge that you needin', bruh. Open up my brain, it's like an encyclopedia. What? H-Mac getting busy with these raps. I'm about to make your head spin, leave you dizzy with these facts. And y'all know that I'm polished, I'm the one that they acknowledge. Y'all need this cause Mac and got that encyclopedic knowledge. Let's go.
Wait, you kind of ate that. Wait.
They didn't really. Yo, hey, Gadgets, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Yeah, as you know, tonight is going to be the watch party of Dyer versus Chase, Geiser, and Ryan Turbeville. Masons, oh, wow. It's two Freemasons. Why is the number 2 out? It's Freemasons versus Ortho Christians, anyway. It's on the thumbnail, so. But the Ortho Christian, I just realized who it is. It's Dyer, who, Dave Wood and Andrew Wilson was talking about the other day. And it was Dave Wood, it was saying that, well, he's an Orthodox Christian anyway, so he is religious. But, I mean, he might do well in this debate, but he does, you know, unfortunately, stick up for the Dyer guys, you know, certain Dyer guys that are pushing Islam. So, but, well, no, we'll just take it from this one. Anyway, it'll be a watch part anyway, because it's over 2 hours long. We've got to go to Rumble, and I've got to go and see my son tomorrow. First time I've seen him since he come out of that school and got his new place. So I've got to see him tomorrow. So I'm not going to mess about on the YouTube side. It's 2 hours, or it's just over 2 hours worth. So we just got to get, after we've seen a gym observation, we just got to get straight into it and listen to it. I dare say I'll have a few things to say, but like Justin says in there, he'll be just listening. So will I. And so will I, because we need to get off the YouTube side. And this is obviously, if we review it, it's got to take ages because it's over 2 hours long. So we're just going to watch it, sort of thing. Like I say, I've always got a few things to say, but I'm going to let it go through, especially since I've got to get up for my son in the morning, you know. I ain't seen him in months. So let's do that. What am I doing? Looking for Jim. Looking for Jim. That's what I'm doing. Jim Ennis. What are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we going, Jim Ennis? Jim Ennis. I think he's got a new one. Oh, no, we already did the new ones, didn't we? Yeah, we did the new ones. So we'll have to go in old ones again. Right. Let's do old ones again. But good to see you, Ryan. Well, I don't think Ryan's here right now, but he was in earlier at 4:22 p.m. 28. He's been looking for my channel. He didn't know the name of it, so like I had to send him an email. Justin, good to see you. Baza, good to see you. Brian, good to see you. Oh, Mr. Super, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Mr. Super, can have his spanner back. I got rid of a lot of people's spanners, just people that weren't coming anymore, Mr. Super, and because I modded a load of trolls, so I had to get rid of a load of spanners also. So you've just got yours back. Okay, let's go popular and swap on down now. Okay. Actually, see, mine look quite good. Where did that go? Ooh. Yeah, let's do this one because it's only a couple of minutes long. We have a few minutes for people to come in. Oh, by the way, this stream tonight, thanks to Justin, we're taking it from Justin's channel. So we're watching Justin Johnson's channel tonight. So thanks, Justin, for that link. Justin already got this taken down and managed to get it back up again. You know, so all good, all good. I just noticed something that Justin says. I'm not saying don't trust anyone. I'm saying no one could be trusted. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I understand that sentiment. Absolutely true. Oh yeah, nice one, Jim. But we'll get Jim's link, and people watching the chat replay, you know the score. Well, unless you're first in the chat replay. Sub to Jim. Sub to Jim Ennis. There's his link. Right, let's get this debate on the road. Like I say, it's going to be a watch party. I'm going to try not to say anything. I will probably say a few things, but because I've got to be up in the morning to see my son, and it'll be late by the time I finish, I'm just going to try and get on with it. So let's do that. Did I put Jim's link in there? Yeah. So this is on Justin's channel. He's already got 85 views on it. Fair play. 2.25 hours. All right. So it's it's two Freemasons against well, he's put it anti-Freemason Christian. He's an Orthodox Christian. It's Dyer. That's the one. I think it's Dyer's the one we were talking about. Yeah. He's not a very decent guy when it comes to certain aspects, but scripture, I don't know. I've never seen him debating. I dare say it'll be interesting. But got to try watch it and not say anything. And go try anyway. And this is from Justin's channel, like I say. So cheers, Justin. Let's do it. And then we'll go over to Rumble and finish off the night. And I can see my son tomorrow. It's quite it came out of the blue sort of thing. So go and see his new house and that would be great. Let's do it. So yeah, the names of the people are Dyer, that's the Orthodox Christian, Chase Geiser or Geiser, and Ryan Turbeville, which is the two Freemason Christians. So you've got a Orthodox Christian, Freemason Christian. Really, I'd call none of them Christians. You know, I mean, yeah, some Orthodox will be saved, but this guy Dyer, in general, you know, when it comes to like him supporting Islam and that, or certain Islamic people that push things in, I don't agree with him. And he's a bit racist as well sometimes, you know. And I wouldn't agree that you can be a Freemason and a Christian, you know. Not a true Christian for sure. Oh yeah, I'll probably like Jay's stance on it. Definitely, I'll agree with Jay's stance on it. I just don't agree with them on other things. But when it comes to Freemason, like being against Freemason, of course I'm going to be on his. I'm going to probably support his stance on it, or probably like his stance. Of course. And like I say, there could be plenty of liars out there, but liars tell the truth sometimes. Sometimes you can take truth from the liar, but it's just discerning what's the lie and what's not, you know. So, you know the score. I'm not saying he's a liar, but I'm just saying that, for instance, it's kind of an analogy. I just know he's a little wrong in some things, but in this, I dare say, like I say, I haven't watched it yet. So I dare say, if he's against Christians being Freemasons, then I'm going to, agree with him. Because I don't think you can be in a society that eventually gets you to plead allegiance to the devil, Lucifer, while you're actively being a Christian. I just don't see how it would work. But anyway, let's continue. Let's do this.
Coming out.
put the link in if anybody wants to come in and chill as well. But like I say, I'm trying not to talk so much, and just watch it.
Today we have a awesome debate that we're very excited to do in person. First and foremost, we want to thank the venue. This venue is super awesome, and it's a dual purpose venue for events and as a workspace. So anybody who lives in Nashville, we do highly recommend this place to do either of those things. So Robert, if you're here, thanks so much. If not, you can see this in the recording. We're very grateful for it. We wish to throw events like this in the future. So really any kind of debates is what we're looking to do. This is kind of one of the first of its nature. So
that's better quality. It was on 360. I'm like, what? And I was thinking that's a bit crappy quality. But yeah, that's it. It was because it was on 360 on mine. I don't know why it was on 360 on mine, because I usually have it on 720 or HD. But you know, anyway, continue.
Thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully everything runs pretty smoothly. And yeah, we'll go ahead and kick it off. So today we have two Christian Freemasons versus an Orthodox Christian. And the prompt of the debate is Freemasonry incompatible with Christianity?
Well, you remember when I don't know too much about Dyer. I know a few things, I've seen a couple, but not loads and loads. But do you remember when we did the David Wood, we're talking to Brian here, the David Wood versus Andrew Wilson debate the other day? And David Wood, I don't know, someone brought up Dyer, but David Wood doesn't agree with Dyer because he supports, like Andrew Wilson does, the Dawa Gandhis guy sort of thing in certain aspects of things. So it was them. It was him, Dyer, that they were talking about partly.
And first and foremost, I want to say that I myself am not a Freemason, nor am I an Orthodox Christian for that matter. A
lot of Freemasons say that too, though. A lot of Freemasons will tell you they're not Freemasons, but show you they're Freemasons by a hand signal, a symbol, or something.
Am not an expert on either subject, but I will try my best to moderate the debate with the utmost neutrality. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and kick it off into opening statements. Jay, we can start with you. Make sure to include your religious affiliation and your relationship.
100%, Justin. My point exactly. Asking if Masonry and Christianity are compatible is like asking if Satan and the belief in Christ are compatible. Right, exactly. Well, because at the end of it, it's, once you get higher up, you've got to pledge allegiance to Lucifer. So that's why they take in Christians or any kind of religion, because they're going to bastardize that person's religion or tell them that along the way that person's religion is wrong, or they can keep this religion, but when they get to this certain point, oh, no, now it's Satan you got to pledge allegiance to. So, yeah, and where their faith would be against that, they should know. I think all Christians should know you can't be a Freemason. You really can't. And if you are, then there's something wrong.
Sponsors, everything. Yeah, books, the whole 9 yards, and your relationship to Freemasonry, obviously. Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm no longer in a relationship with Freemasonry. No, I'm joking. So I'm Jay Dyer, Orthodox apologist, debater, sometime comedy writer. I host the 4th Hour with Alex Jones show. And you can find me, of course, on YouTube and whatnot.
He's been on the Alex Jones show, that's what he said. Okay, that makes sense.
I am an Orthodox Christian, so I believe that Masonry is incompatible with not just Orthodox Christianity, but really any of the traditional bodies of Christianity have pretty much exerted statements on that. So am I doing the opening statement now, or are they going to say who they are first?
No, let's go ahead and say who you guys are, and then we'll kick it off with a extended opening statement. So go ahead, Ryan.
I'm Ryan Turbeville. I'm the only guy up here that you probably don't know. I'm a...
So he's a 33rd degree Freemason Protestant. So he's a Protestant Christian. So he's 33rd degree. So he must know that he's pledging allegiance to Lucifer at 33 degrees. I know it goes higher than 33 degrees, but by 33rd degree, you should know that you're pledging allegiance to Lucifer, the light bearer.
Lifelong Nashvilleian, 33rd degree Freemason, been a Freemason for about 18 years now. And I am a Protestant Christian, put it broadly. And obviously I am pro Freemasonry.
I'm Chase Geiser. I have been a Freemason since 2011. So
And he's just at the ass of him because he's 32nd degree.
I put 15 years. 32nd degree Freemason, not a 33rd degree like big boy Ryan over here. And I'm a non-denominational Christian.
Non-denominational Protestant. So one's religious and in a cult, and one's got faith in an occult. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Hey, Cornish girl, good to see you. Hey, it's not a problem. Not a problem, Cornish girl. It's all good. All good. Whenever you're available to be in, it's all good.
Perfect. All right. We can just go in the same order here. Go ahead and kick it off with your extended opening statement. And then from there, we'll go into an open discussion where it's kind of just a no holds barred. Just go any direction you want within the prompt at the debate. So go ahead in your opening statement, Jay.
Yeah, so I think that what we want to think about in terms of Christianity, and again, I'm going to argue that although I'm Orthodox, really any of the representative historical bodies of Christianity have already made public statements. For example, Protestant denominations like the OPC, the PCA, various Lutheran traditional denominations themselves have stated that they don't believe that it's in any way compatible with traditional Christianity. And here what we would mean is Nicene Christianity in terms.
You too, Cornish gal. You too. God bless you.
Of the Nicene Creed. As an Orthodox Christian, of course, most of the jurisdictions and patriarchates have public statements that you cannot be a Christian. It is antithetical in terms of the philosophy of the organization as a whole. At the same time, the Roman Catholic Church still has, as part of its canon law, the official statement, and this was reaffirmed in the early 80s by Ratzinger in terms of the CDF, that is antithetical to Catholicism to be a Freemason. So regardless of what Vatican II says,
but yeah, I was going to say plenty of Catholics are still Freemasons. Plenty of them are, especially the Vatican.
Seems to line up with Freemasonry. At least on the books, you can't be a Roman Catholic and be a Freemason. So
on the books,
what is it that would make it antithetical to Christianity? Well, for my argument, I would argue that saying that you are a Christian Freemason is equivalent to saying I'm a Christian Gnostic, or I'm a Christian pagan, or I'm a Christian who's a member of the Marxist.
Or I'm a Christian Satanist, or I'm a Christian Luciferian. I agree.
This Communist Party. The reason that you can't say that is that the philosophy and the ethos of those systems that I gave are at roots antithetical to the basics of the philosophy and the worldview of Christianity. For example, the Nicene Creed has as its basic definition the deity of Christ and the doctrine of the Trinity, one holy Catholic and apostolic church. Masonry is premised on the idea that all the religions essentially are kinds of masks of God, and they tend to prefer a kind of deistic.
And that's far from the truth. There's only one God. So all these religions are not professing the true God.
Version of the deity. So deism, right from the outset, and I've got many Masonic sources that I can go to, they're going to basically say a deistic type of perspective. And if you don't know what deism is, it's the Enlightenment perspective that God is not immanent in the world, active, doing things, miracles, etc. Rather, the God of the Bible, or excuse me, the God of Masonry, and the way that Masons interpret the Bible, is that it's a first cause, a kind of Aristotelian mover that you don't have a relationship with. And in fact, that great architect of the universe philosophy that Masonry has is identical to the pagan Greek philosophy perspective that Aristotle talks about. An architect works with pre-existing matter and tools. He does not create
Right, they can't create. They're working with the tools that God already created. So, architect would say someone designs and then builds. God certainly designed it, but spoke it. He's designed it in the head and spoke it. So yeah, architect would imply that you're using materials and instruments that are of this earth that was already created by, the Almighty.
Nilo. So the very idea of calling God merely the architect already suggests a Hellenic Greek pagan perspective that, for example, St. Basil in his famous Hexameron lectures, where he goes in Hexameron 2 to call this position a dyad, is antithetical to Christianity's triad. Freemasonry and its representative philosophers and thinkers, whether it is people who are in the York Rite or promoted by the York Rite, like Albert Mackey, and I have with me Mackey's works here, explicitly downplay the Trinity and the deity of Christ to promote their generic theism based around.
Faza, I got to go to the discount warehouse store to get my Godish. Buy it in bulk and save. All right.
A kind of naturalism. And Albert Pike himself in Morals and Dogma, and we can go into all these quotes if we need to, explicitly denies the Trinity, the personhood of the Holy Spirit, and says that essentially Masonry is all of the ancient mystery religions, whether it's Marcionism, Zoroastrianism, or some form of Gnosticism, are essentially all combined into the system of Freemasonry. So again, to make my final statement as to why it's antithetical, I would simply argue that if you look at the way that Mackey, as a test case, defines God, he says that God is the name Tetragrammaton, the Yahweh reference that we have in the Old Testament. He says that name can only be understood and pronounced and theologically interpreted through the Kabbalah. And he says we have to look to the Zohar and the teachings of the Talmudists and the Kabbalah to understand what the theological significance of the name of God is. And he says that it's essentially the male and female principle of the universe. And then, according to Mackey, when you talk about things like the yoni, which is the vagina, the vajayjay, for those that don't know, single men here, they may not be familiar with that, what that is. Well, the yoni or the vajayjay is the female privy parts, so to speak. And according to Mackey, the name of God amongst the Brahmins and the Hindus is the yoni, referencing the female.
Oh, not good. Not good.
Principle of nature. So I would simply ask if, according to Masonry, the God of Masonry is the male and female principle of the universe, and according to Masonry, the name of God in Hinduism is the female principle is yoni. Masonry essentially worships PPs and vajayjays and says that those things are God and are the ultimate generative principle and female principle of the universe, which is absurd and is also Kabbalistic, because Kabbalah says that Adam, Kadmon, and God are essentially a bisexual deity. That's where we get Baphomet. I've got scholars here who are writing from out of Harvard. William B. Green has a book about Kabbalah as the root of Masonry. So Kabbalistic Gnosticism is another way to prove and show that Masonry is antithetical to Christianity. It'd be like saying to St. Irenaeus, who wrote the great treatise in the 2nd century, 180 AD, against the Gnostics, to say, oh, but Irenaeus, don't you understand? I am a Christian and I'm a Freemason and I'm a Gnostic. They're all pretty much the same. And the other thing is that the last comment I'll make is that their position essentially predicates a tiered strata between Christians who are Masons, or Masons in general, versus the profane who are not initiated into their gibberish mysteries. And so that would mean that all the Christian pastors and ministers who are not initiated into the mysteries are therefore profane. And so really only the Gnostic inner elite Christian Masons would be the true Christians. That's the very thing that St. Irenaeus rebukes in his rebukes of the Gnostics, when he says that Orthodox Christianity has a public persona, a public doctrine. We don't have secret esoteric teachings. It's not necessary. All right, great. Over to you, Ryan.
All right. So Jay said a lot there. Instead of trying to initially respond to just each point, I would say you're going to hear a lot from me today, that the quotes that he pulls out, the books that he references, Jay will try to make the attempt that Albert Pike or Mackey or any of these guys speak for Freemasonry, that they're authorities on the craft. No man speaks for Freemasonry. Freemasonry is not a religion. We don't have apostles. We don't have canon. You know, there is no authority on Freemasonry. It's a fraternity that is a system of morality, as we call it. It's essentially a philosophy. And in studying that philosophy, in this system of self-improvement for men, we pull from a lot of different religions. Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma, I'm sure that's going to come up today. It's basically a book in comparative religion. Mackey, some of these other people we quoted. These are individuals with their own ideas as it pertains to the deity, to Christianity. Some of them are Christian, some are not. Freemasonry does not require you to be of one religion to be a
Well, Christianity, the scripture says, do not be unequally yoked. Now, if you're in a big club as a Christian with other people that are not Christians and in this club, then you're being unequally yoked. You're being influenced by their doctrines and everything. You're being unequally yoked. So it makes no sense that even as a Christian Freemason to accept these others. It makes no sense. So the whole thing's contradictory. Freemasonry, it's all mad.
a member. You simply have to believe in a supreme being, and I'm sure we'll dig into that further. I'll save that for later. But essentially, Masonry leaves a lot up to the individual man as it pertains.
Well, in Christianity, believing in a supreme being is not enough. It's not enough. So how is it enough in Freemasonry and with your Christian faith? Religion with you, faith with him. It makes no sense.
To his beliefs in deity, because it's not its purpose. It's not its goal. It's not that it's indifferent. It's not that it doesn't care. It simply says that this is a fraternity with certain moral teachings and principles that...
With things done in secret. It's a fraternity. So it's a brotherhood. Things done in secret. What does Jesus say about things done in secret? Things hidden will come to light eventually, so it's not good. If things in secret are in the dark, it's not good.
Sure, they borrow from different systems, but the purpose is not to create a new system. There's no Masonic clan of salvation. There's no Masonic worship. It's not meant to replace religion. And so me as a Christian...
No, but it's meant to replace God. It is religion. It is religion. It's not meant to replace religion because it's trying to replace God. People keep getting this thing like saying that this thing with God is religion. It's not. It's a relationship. It's a faith. It's not religion. Religion's man-made. Jesus was against religion. He spoke about the pious. He told them that they were pious people, then called them a brood of vipers.
I don't agree with some of my brothers and their views on religion, and that's fine. There's nothing that says that I have to. And the entire point, or one of the main points of the fraternity, the reasons why we allow men of different beliefs to come together, is that Christian concept of as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. By bringing men together of different beliefs that still are united upon core principles, we're able to work towards bettering our...
Let's use that in context, because even Christian brothers, iron sharpens iron. People have different attitudes and different personalities, whether they have faith or not. So you're using that out of context. Iron sharpens iron.
Ourselves and bettering the world.
All right, Chase. Well, again, I'm Chase Geiser, former InfoWars host. It's actually how I interacted and met Jay the first time. The first thing I want to do is I want to thank DJ.
He was an InfoWars host. Okay. I didn't mind you. I've only ever seen InfoWars with Alex Jones as a host, so I didn't know that. And I don't see it anymore, so.
For putting this event together. Kudos to you and all your hard work. I think it's important that these debates continue to happen. Ryan, of course, I want to thank you. Ryan's a very close old friend of mine here in Nashville for agreeing to participate in this, because I know that it was participating in something like this it opens up the door for criticism and problems or whatever, and you just bravely decided to do it. And Jay, I also want to thank you for agreeing to come out here and do this debate. And I just want to be totally explicit that although I disagree with Jay on this.
Right, Buzzer? Right. My point exactly when I said, well, it was an InfoWars. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I agree.
Particular issue. I have astounding admiration for the work that he's done, and I'm very grateful for specifically all the content that he's made on the InfoWars platform, hosting the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show. And so I genuinely appreciate that very much. I want to just start briefly by saying why I decided to become a Freemason. I was a sophomore in college at Belmont University here in Nashville, and I was looking at the different fraternities at the university, and I just wasn't really feeling it. There's no frat houses at Belmont University. There wasn't much of a community.
Who wants a frat house? I mean, who wants to have to go out hazing? Oh, come on, man. Come on. These fraternity brotherhoods is obviously cultish. You must know this.
It was just kind of this ethereal group that would meet together for these different fraternities. And I happened to be reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin summer after my freshman year. And just kind of out of esteem for the founding fathers, I decided to pursue and visit a lodge here in Nashville, Observance Lodge number 686, which used to meet in the Grand Lodge building downtown off of Broadway.
So you think Reese is the guy? Reese? You mean Chase? There's one guy called Chase Geiser, another called Ryan Turnbull, Turbeville, sorry. So you think Chase Geiser is the one that debated Whitsitt? Okay.
Way. And after visiting and learning more about the fraternity, I decided to join, and it was, in my opinion, a very good decision. It was a very life-changing experience for me. It's been
I never even watched that debate.
A great source of friendship and brotherhood for me, and it's made me feel closer to Americanism because I have a fraternal sense now more than just an act.
Americanism. What is Americanism, guys?
Academic sense of who the founding fathers were, what they stand for, and some of the principles that founded this great country. I wanted to participate in this debate specifically just because I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in open discourse. I think there's a lot of mischaracterizations or misunderstandings around Masonry. I don't accuse Jay of any malice whatsoever. I actually very much trust Jay because of the work that I've seen that he's done. I think that he's misunderstanding or mischaracterizing Masonry inadvertently. So that's how I want to start with my introduction section of this debate. Thank you guys for all being here. I appreciate all of you for joining us. Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to step into the open discussion end of the debate, and this will make up the main course. After this, we're going to have some questions on the side over here at the very end. So during this debate, if you have anything that comes to mind, you have any questions, write it down, take a note, and we'll step over there for a brief period at the end where some of you guys will get to ask questions. Now, I think the best jumping off point was Ryan, you said that there's a lot to respond to in Jay's opening statement, but you want to make a statement of your own, obviously.
So Americanism is a word phrase, custom or trait that originated in or it's characteristic of the United States, depending on the context, can refer to how Americans speak or the country's broader cultural and political values. There's loads of different political values in America. You know, there's all different types of political values in America. So it's a bit of a weird one, Americanism.
So I think just pick a point, any point in that statement, and we'll just jump off into it. And I'll mostly step back and kind of let you guys go at it. And at any point for clarification or kind of a change of topic, I'll hop in. But is that okay to jump in? Perfect.
Yeah, so I first became interested in Masonry like Chase. Just had a general curiosity about it. Started talking to some people about it. Turns out my great-grandfather was a Mason and a huge mentor of mine. I had my great-grandfather until I was in my late 20s. Everyone had kids in my family super young. So my great-grandfather was Church of Christ. He was a song leader. Did that literally until like the year before he died at 96 years old. I've never met a better Christian man than my great-grandfather. And when I was first exploring Masonry, I got online and you can just read, all sorts of craziness. But in the back of the line, I was like, well, this is good.
Isn't it mad? They're called Freemasons, but yet they don't build anything. They don't build anything or even design. Not even architects. They don't design anything. It's just a stupid belief. You know what I mean? A cult. Freemasons don't physically build anything anymore. Well, I don't know if they ever did, but they don't build anything anymore. Isn't that mad? And they call themselves Masons. A Mason is someone that works with stone. You know what I mean? So to me, being weird called a Mason if you're not a bloody actual Mason that works with stone.
Good enough for Pa, then it's good enough for me. It's worth checking out. And I got into it, and that's what I experienced. You know, I hear a lot of these criticisms, and as Chase said, you know, I don't think Jay has ill intent, but I think a lot of it's just misunderstandings. Part of that's our fault. You know, we are secretive in some ways. Even if I don't think a lot of it's even intentional secrecy, it's literally we're a bunch of boomers for the most part. Like a huge.
Right. Literally, wolves in sheep's clothing. Exactly. Builders that don't build. Builders that speculate. What's the point in being called what a builder? You know what I mean? Basically, a mason, somebody who works with stone, brick, whatever, and they don't even do that. So, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing, like you say. People who do that are worth something, you know? People who build houses are worth something. People who work with stone are worth something. Imagine calling yourself something that you don't even work with.
Portion of our membership is not online. My lodge has a website, but we're one of the rarities. So we don't do a very good job of telling our story. Some of it, I think, is exhaustion. These critiques have been around for hundreds of years. They keep kind of just popping back up. And, you know, from some of the Masons' perspective, it's better to just let it lie and try to ignore it. I do think the reason why I decided to do this, and I think Chase, is because of the internet, because of I don't want to say new times. We've been in these times for decades, but information is everywhere. And I think if only.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a progression of things going this way, but I don't think we've been in these times for decades. There's certain things we have been in for decades, but the way things are now, I don't think we've been in it for decades. You know, there's certainly newer things happening nowadays than we used to experience. I'd say it's happened in the past, probably in the days of Noah, but when we, like the COVID thing, that was a complete new thing to me when it happened. At the time, I was in my mid 40s. You know what I mean? I'm in my late 40s now. Well, just about to turn 50 this year. So in my 45 years at the time, probably, something like that. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 44 years at the time, maybe. I had never seen anything like a lockdown or anything like that, the COVID. Yes, I'd seen bad flu, all these things, foot and mouth, these little things and all that. Avian flu, pig flu, all that kind of stuff. But, when it came to a world lockdown, never seen that before in my life. So that was new to me. Even though the times have been going that way for a while, it's still something that was new.
One side ever gets told, then we're just not going to be able to, I don't want to say combat anti-Masons, but just tell our own story and not let the misinformation spread. So as a Christian, I've been a Christian long before I was a Freemason.
Maybe you should have stuck that way then.
That I view other Christians or my Christian brothers as profane, that's absurd to me. It is a term we use for non-Masons, but one of the first things you're taught when you join the lodge is that your religion and your duty to God comes before Freemasonry. The fraternity is secondary to.
Yes, because their God is Satan. That's why it becomes for the Freemasonry, because it's to Satan, not to the Almighty. So it's so much, it's just a red herring. It's a red herring. That's what it is. It's a red herring. Whichever way you put it, it's allegiance to Satan. Because that's their God.
Your family, to your occupation even, to your country, and certainly to your God. There's no scenario where my oath or my obligation or my love of the fraternity supersedes my belief in Christ or my love for my Christian brothers. I do believe in the Trinity. I believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. believe in the resurrection.
But do you debate that? Do you profess that much, or are you professing more of Freemasonry? I don't see Bibles anywhere.
And there are brothers within this fraternity that do not hold those beliefs. And that's fine. I'm not in this fraternity in order to...
Hey, mate, good to see you, brother. Good to see you, man. Welcome to the watch party.
Yeah, the fraternity is not a church. You know, I go to church for church. The fraternity is my fraternity.
It is. The brotherhood, it is. It's a church. Without a doubt, it's a church. But not like the Church of Christ, as in the body of Christ. No. Church as in a building, a place that they go to do these, whatever they do, rituals and ceremonies and that, which is against scripture, and you say you're a Christian. It's weird. I don't know how you can equate the two, how you can correlate the two and marry the two up.
Okay, the first thing I would say is, and I don't know if we're going to do just Q&A back and forth. I don't care either way, but I mean, the idea that, well, you know, we just make good men better. It's a radical individualism because it's Enlightenment philosophy. It's just simple philosophy. I mean, that's
how you reconcile being Christian and a Freemason. It just doesn't seem to work for me.
not actually the case because, first of all, I mean, just the name of the book itself is Morals and Dogma. Dogma to me doesn't sound like it's just opinion.
Yeah, dogma sounds something that's more religious, teachings, you know, practices. You know, why doesn't it just say that if you've got some teachings in there, I mean, it's something you're being taught, it's something you're focusing on rather than God.
And that's the opposite of opinion. It's dogma. So when you say that there's no authorities in Masonry, why does Albert Pike call his book Morals and Dogma? Why was that handed out to so many people in the Scottish Rite if it's not in some sense a kind of authority? Why is he one of the most honored Masons in Washington, D.C. in terms of his Confederate monument still standing there and hasn't been torn down when they tear down all the other monuments? To me, that's preposterous to say that there are no authorities, because if there are no authorities, who decides that Morals and Dogma isn't an authority and that Masonry has no authorities?
So this is a little newer version of Morals and Dogma, but it's the same stuff, just a nicer cover.
Yeah, I could imagine, mate. I could imagine. I'm with him on this. I don't like Jay and other things because he supports things that I don't, you know, but I'm certainly with him on this.
This is the original preface by Albert Pike, page 69. I don't know what version you have over there, but it'll be in your version as well. He starts out by saying the teachings of these readings are not sacramental, so far as they go beyond the realm of morality into those other domains of thought and truth. The ancient accepted Scottish Rite uses the word dogma in its true sense of doctrine or teaching, and is not dogmatic in the odious sense of that term.
Yeah.
Everyone is entirely...
Double speak. It's double speak. It uses the language of it, but then says it's not it. It's double speak.
Free to reject and dissent from whatsoever herein may seem to be him to be untrue or unsound. It is only required of him that he shall weigh what is taught, give it fair hearing, and unprejudiced judgment. So that's the beginning to Morals and Dogma. Morals and Dogma, as you can see, it is quite a lengthy book, about 1,000 pages, pretty complex read. What most Scottish Rite Masons today receive since 1983 is this book, Bridge to Light. This is what's given to most guys when they come through the Scottish Rite. And again, on page 3, it reiterates that same preface of Pike with an addition with the guy who wrote this book, Dr. Wretch Hutcherson. It says, it expresses the opinions of Dr. Wretch Hutcherson, 33rd degree, concerning the Scottish Rite ritual and Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. We respect his opinion and offer them for the consideration and personal evaluation of each reader of this volume. And then it repeats Pike's claim that this is not sacrament, it is not doctrine, it is not dogma in the odious sense of the term. It's his ideas, and it's mine and Chase's job to study them, ponder them, and we are allowed and encouraged to disagree with them.
I'd like to add a point if I may. I understand from a perspective of Western Christian American values, how it's easy to look at an organization like the Masons and look at it through the lens of religion. What I mean to say is, in Christianity, we have the Matthews, the Marks, the Lukes, the Johns, the Pauls, and these canon voices that are considered to have etched in pen, even though pens weren't invented yet, the Word of God. But with Masonry, this is really more along the lines of apologetics when we talk about the Mackeys or the Manly P. Halls or the Albert Pikes, in the sense that I would liken an Albert Pike to Masonry in the same way that I would liken a C.S. Lewis perhaps to Catholicism, and that nothing that C.S. Lewis wrote, whether it's Mere Christianity or another work, is considered to be part of the canon of Catholicism. It's just his thoughts, his philosophies, his interpretations, his ideas around Catholicism.
Commentary, yeah. Teachings. Still teaching something.
Specifically, there's not a situation in Masonry where we're getting together and we're singing psalms that are the words of Albert Pike, like you would sing psalms in church that are the words of David, for example. And I just wanted to emphasize, again, just like you did in your introduction, Ryan, that yes, these are all interesting books with interesting
All religion works the same way.
perspectives and philosophies, but they're by no means canon in terms of Masonic philosophy, in my opinion.
Maybe you misunderstood what I was arguing, because I didn't argue that you don't claim to have quotes from Albert Pike saying that there's no dogmas. For example, I noticed in my copy from maybe 10 years ago when I read this, on page 222 of this older version, I noted that it's a subjectivist relativist contradiction, because he says it is dogmatic in Masonry that there's no dogma. So I was doing a philosophical critique, and I'm asking you, is it dogmatic that there's no dogma in Masonry?
What's your definition of dogma? Maybe we should start with that.
I think it's to be, how did he define it? He defined it as, what do you say?
Teaching.
He says perfect truth or some perfection, something like that. I don't know. How do you define dogmas? Beliefs that you can't question?
I don't believe that there are any beliefs other than the existence of God that you can't question in Freemasonry.
So there is dogma in Freemasonry.
Yeah.
If you would define,
How do you guys define dogma?
if you would define the necessitation of the belief in God as dogma, then yes, according to that definition, that would be dogma.
Dogma. Well, the rituals, that they do. The ceremonies they do. That's all teaching. That's all dogma. What do you mean it's not dogma?
Because so there are dogmas in
There are requirements for membership.
So
Foundational.
if you redefine the word dogma to mean requirements, is not dogma anymore.
Of course it is dogma.
I mean, if we want to argue over words, we can do that. But
It's not
Well, they're not words; they're your own teaching.
requirement.
Jay, what are you trying to get at in terms of
What's your-
what are we
You're required to do something or be something to be a Mason, then that's a teaching.
implications?
Do you? And I'm not trying to be rude, or
No, I'm not taking it that way.
do you not understand the argument that I'm making?
I don't think that I do. Could you rephrase it?
The argument was initially that Masonry does not have dogmas. There's no specific authorities. There's not a canon of things that we would look to by which we would exclude people. But you just admitted that you have to believe, for example, in a higher power. So there are at least some minimal dogmas. And so it's not true that there are no dogmas in Masonry.
I think the argument was that the words of Albert Pike are not Masonic dogma.
No, I'm asking you, are there any?
Yeah.
Well, you have to believe in God. So if you consider that to be a dogma, then yes. Is that the only one?
So-
Are there others?
Yeah,
But there's just one?
We have what's called the ancient landmarks. Now, the landmarks can differ amongst jurisdiction. If I can give a step back, we use Masonic terms, and I have to realize that you guys may not know what that means. So Masonry is very decentralized. So in Tennessee, there's the Grand Lodge of Tennessee. That is the supreme Masonic authority for Tennessee. There is no other group that tells Tennessee what it can and can't do.
You said at the beginning, no authorities. Now there's a supreme authority.
I'm talking within our structure.
Well, are there no authorities or are there authorities?
I said no one man is an authority on masonry.
But really, there's no apostle, there's no authorities, is what you said.
Yeah, I said no one man is. Albert Packy.
Well, apostles is plural, and then authorities is plural. So
there is a system of governments within Freemasonry.
there are authorities,
Of course,
The
there's
Grand Lodge of
authority.
Tennessee.
and there are
Or
dogmas.
Tennessee.
So there's dogmas and authorities.
Authorities and everything. Of course, there's authorities.
You have to keep in mind that I think we're talking about authorities in two different senses. There's no theological or philosophical authority in masonry, but in terms of organizational
But
structure,
you have to believe in God. That would be theological. So that's nonsense.
I think that you're on the semantics run here.
Yeah, I think we're going in circles.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
How is that a semantics run when he said you have to believe in God?
Yes, of course you have to believe in God. And so there's a member, but there's no like human authority within the organization.
So there is a
David Page's the canon.
There is a dogma, and then there are authorities that recognize and do not recognize certain lodges, right? There's irregular lodges.
You know, I think
Are there irregular lodges?
been incredibly explicit in the claim that you have to believe in a supreme being in order to be a Mason.
Okay, so
I think where we're disagreeing is on interpreting that or perceiving that as a dogma.
oh, well, whatever term you want to use. If you don't like the word dogma, you can
It might be
use
helpful.
term.
What is the Orthodox view on dogma? Dogma means that you must believe this in order to be Orthodox.
Right. Dogmas are beliefs that you cannot dispute or question. For example, the Nicene Creed for an Orthodox Christian would be something that you can't be a Christian and say, well, I don't believe in the deity of Christ, or I don't believe in, the teachings of, the Council of Nicaea, something like that. Those would be things that you couldn't question and still be a recognized member of the group. You would be seen as an Arian or a Jehovah's
So
Witness.
certainly if you did not believe or cease to believe in God, you would not be able to be a Mason.
Right. So that was that argument, which was that there are dogmas, whether you want to call them that term or not, because I can't be a Mason if I'm an atheist, right? Unless I'm a Grand Orient Lodge.
Correct.
Okay. So there are dogmas, and that's theological, right? Belief in God is theological.
I believe your argument was that the words of Albert Pike were dogma based off of your definition of dogma.
Again, you misunderstood the argument.
And when I brought up,
You said there's no dogma.
Let us just concede that there is the dogma in Freemasonry that you have to believe in a supreme being.
but that was not the beliefs of Albert Pike or
Albert Pike is irrelevant. I can go to another one of these guys, and I'm just going to make the same argument and say,
and I would make the same argument that there is no.
you're not listening to the argument. It's a presuppositional argument about the claim that there's no dogmas. And I asked you, is it a dogma that there are no dogmas? That's a philosophical argument. It doesn't have anything to do with Albert Pike. Is it a dogma that there's no dogmas?
I guess again, we're just arguing words.
No, it's a philosophical argument. You don't understand it? I'll be mean. I'm saying you don't understand.
I understand it.
Okay, what's the
There is no dogma in Freemasonry that individual members cannot have their own dogma.
So it's a subjectivist and relativist, because if I can have my own dogma, can I have a dogma that I'm a Satanist and I'm a Mason?
No, so
then it's dogma.
I can get into the landmarks and some of that if you would like.
Ultimately, that's what you become, a Luciferian, which is kind of a Satanist.
Yeah, I think we kind of exalt.
I'm not trying to dance around you. I'm just trying to
I think,
understand.
again, it's so, and I don't mean to cut you off, DJ, but like, I'm not trying to play a word game, right? If I debated an atheist, I would make the same line of argument to say, if a subjectivist or a relativist says, there are no absolute truths, right? And if I respond to that guy, I would say, is it an absolute truth that there are no absolute truths?
Yeah, only that is believe in absolutes, which isn't.
But that is not a word game. It's a philosophical argument where you're doing a critique of the person's paradigm and saying that statement itself is a logical contradiction. So it's not a word game. It's not about semantics. It's a question of, you can't say that there are no dogmas.
I see what you're trying to say.
And
yeah,
it's dogmatic that you have to believe there's no dogmas. That was the question.
Do you want to respond to that? I'll change topics if not, but you just said
no, it's okay. I understand what you're trying to say. I would say that the organization of Freemasonry does not prohibit people from having their own dogma. It just doesn't take a position on so many of them. Now, it has its own dogmas in the sense that you have to believe in a supreme being. There's ancient landmark kind of rules and requirements associated with the fraternity.
You can't be an atheist. You
Right.
can't be ML.
Can I be a Satanist?
No.
So, I thought you had to be a monotheist.
Yeah. So what if I'm a monotheistic Satanist?
Yeah. So there's, again,
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
There are people that don't.
Can I finish my thought on jurisdictional and authority? So it's decentralized. You have in Tennessee the Grand Lodge of Tennessee. In America, every state has its own Grand Lodge. The rest of the world, it's usually every country has a Grand Lodge, but there is no overarching body. There's no Grand Lodge of America, no Grand Lodge of the world.
It's decentralized.
So while it's mostly the same, you will see small jurisdictional differences. I can only speak to Tennessee and some of the ones that I'm familiar with, but as it's phrased in Tennessee, and most jurisdictions will be pretty similar to this, it's you have to have a belief in a supreme being and the accountability, a supreme being to whom all men are accountable. Within that requirement, obviously we have our own teaching. So a supreme being, under, I think, most Satanists' definition, do not consider Satan to be the supreme being.
No,
he is and I'm not an authority on Satanism, but another Masonic teaching or dogma, if you will, Jay, is that this supreme being is a creator God. That's the supreme architect of the universe. So Satan, as far as I know, no Satanist claims that Satan is a creator. Beyond that, again, it is a system of morality. There's just certain morals and values within Satanism that would not be compatible with the moral teachings of Freemasonry.
Wow.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Or go ahead. Did you want to say?
No, you go ahead, Jay.
Right, Ronnie.
Yeah. So, first of all, the Temple of Set, as an example, is a theistic satanic group. Michael Aquino, who was the famous.
Did you say deistic or theistic?
Theistic Satanist group. Michael Aquino was the famous Army colonel who drew up the Army's psychological warfare teachings in his writings about black magic and using that for psyops. And his is an example of a sect that has had prominent people as its members, where they believe that the supreme being is in fact Satan. So my point here is to say that when you say that I can be a Freemason, I just have to be, quote, a theist. The absurdity of this is obvious in that there's no such thing as generic theism. There's no such thing as it's just a creator. Well, okay, what if I think Satan is the creator? That's the absurdity of this, and that's why your lodges allow Muslims, Hindus, Jews, people of all types of religious persuasions to be joined together in a fraternity under some aegis that you say is just simply a philosophy. It's not simply a philosophy when we have a whole bunch of people joining together in an idea that does include theological terminology, which you already admitted. So you guys keep saying two things out of the same different sides of your mouth. It's like, oh, it's just a philosophy, it's fraternity. Oh, but we actually have all these theological principles that you have to hold to. So,
of course you will, and of course mate. Of course they'll do that. I mean, they're here to deceive anyway. I mean, one of the guys, was worked on InfoWars, so that says it all. And he's a bloody Freemason Christian. That says even more, But of course they'll pretend to not know.
I mean, why can't I be a Satanist and a monotheist if you don't have dogmas beyond a higher power? Sounds like you're qualifying and tacking on more dogmas.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of points that come to mind. The first point that comes to mind is in your introduction, you mentioned the, of course, incompatibility of Freemason with Christianity because of the philosophy and ethos of Freemasonry being just genuinely incompatible with the philosophy, theology of Christianity. And I would say that the philosophy or theology of Satanism and almost all, if not all, of its manifestations is inherently incompatible with the principles, values of Masonry. The second thing that I would say is, regardless of the technical acceptance of somebody of that persuasion into the fraternity, in a practical manner, it would virtually never happen because you have to have unanimous consent to have a new member initiated into a lodge. And I'm sure you could find obscure examples. There's probably examples of people who are Satanists that have been members of clandestine lodges, which is irregular lodges, not recognized by any of the official grand lodges of the world. But I can't imagine a scenario in which a Satanist would be allowed into a lodge. I was explicitly admitting that he's a Satanist.
Real quick, though, what exactly would a Satanist, if they were a monotheist, what requirement would they be breaking where they couldn't enter
if they were a monotheist, so they got through that hurdle, but what would be stopping them specifically would it just be the other members accepting them in, or would there actually be a principle in which they're violating?
I mean,
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, at least here, like it's explicit that we say we don't allow Satanists.
So that actually is okay.
We've not allowed. We've only had one ever apply for membership in the lodge, and he did not get in. But beyond these like base level requirements, the way you join a lodge, you petition. It's simply an application. There's an interview process. A lot of times, there's a group that will go to your home, meet with your spouse. There's an investigation. There's a background check. There's a interview in front of the lodge, and different lodges can have like slightly different processes in all of this. But you have these, base level requirements, and then the lodge itself is doing its own investigation into your moral character and whether or not you're fit, essentially. And we are exclusive, but we're not exclusive based off of race, religion, or, socioeconomics or stuff like that. But ultimately, it does come down to character. And I would certainly argue that a Satanist is not of the character to be a Freemason.
So the point was not, are there Satanists getting into Masonic lodges? It was an example that was used to try to illustrate the ambiguity and the absurdity of saying that there's no dogmas and we're not theological. Oh, but you have to believe in theism. Oh, but it's not the Satanists. So now we're beginning to see that their opening statement was not true, right? They started qualifying all the things that they really mean by the terms. And when Chase said that, one reason that we wouldn't accept the Satanists is because of the teachings of Masonry are antithetical to Satanism. Well, according to Albert Pike, as we've already seen today, as an example, not an authority, but an example, he says, and these people agreed, that no one is over you. No one determines truth for you. Truth is something that you determine, and you can decide what the teachings are and still be a Mason. So that's a subjectivism and relativism that I absolutely think is the problem in Masonry.
Can I push back real quick? I don't mean to interrupt you. I want you to finish your thought.
Yeah.
When I hear the term subjectivism, to say that something is subjective, the way that I interpret that is like a subjectivist believes that everything is subjective. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a distinction between arguing for subjectivism and having a subjective philosophy, right? So like Pike isn't arguing that whatever you believe is true for you in the sense of like a contemporary modern day subjectivist.
Can I quote him?
You go ahead.
It is our duty always to press forward. Though absolute truth is unattainable, the Masonry strives towards the light.
Yeah.
So there's no absolute truth, apparently.
The Masonry strives towards the light bearer. Strives towards Lucifer. Says it right there.
I think that saying that something is unattainable is not the same thing.
You can argue that light means Jesus, but that's not what they mean by it. They mean the light bearer.
Is saying that it doesn't exist. I think it's unattainable for us to go to Pluto today, but I believe that Pluto exists.
How is it unattainable if it exists?
Well, that's a good question. You could argue with human limitation.
It does exist, but not how you actually think it exists.
That is the problem.
Pluto I'm talking about, and you couldn't get there now.
Yeah, I think he's probably. I haven't read the context around that specific passage, so I can't speak for Pike. But he's probably arguing that in our state as humans, we don't have the capacity to attain or understand absolute truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, 3 of the pillars of Masonry
you can't say that as a Christian.
brotherly love, relief, and truth. It's not objective. Like truth is a core value.
What do you mean, Jay? That can't be said?
So again, from a philosophical perspective, critiquing this in terms of the argumentation, to say that there are no dogmas because there are no absolute truths, that's the context of where he's saying this. He says, for example, perfect truth is not attainable anywhere. That's antithetical to Christian theology when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Absolutely. It's contradictory to what the faith would say. So how can you, they don't marry. You can't reconcile Freemasonry and Christianity. You can't.
So certainly God and Jesus are perfection in terms of truth. So for Albert Pike to say this, that's a subjectivist, relativist line of argumentation And I'm arguing, let me finish this argument because this was what I was trying to argue a minute ago. When you said that Satanism is antithetical to Masonry, I'm saying that Albert Pike's subjectivism here, that there's no truth that's ultimate or absolute, that we can't know it and we can't obtain it. And you can determine the philosophies, as you said a minute ago.
But he doesn't say that there's no absolute truth. He just says that absolute truth is unattainable.
Okay, well, then nobody's attained to it. So you can say theoretically that it exists, but nobody has it. It still doesn't defeat the point that nobody has perfect truth or absolute truth. So maybe it's out there, but it doesn't exist and we don't have it. Fine. Cast it however you want. That's still satanic in principle. So
I
mean, even the fact that Albert Pike in that sentence is
it's satanic in principle, like you say, it's Luciferian in principle.
saying that absolute truth is unattainable is implicitly stating that Freemasonry makes no claims to have absolute truth.
okay, so then
Just to suggest
the Bible,
not actually a theology.
and the Bible and Christ don't have absolute truth.
Well, you don't necessarily have to believe that. You can be a Mason and disagree with Albert Pike.
Thank you. So it's subjectivist and relativist. That's my point, and that's what Satanism says. So it's absolutely synthesizable with
It
Satanism.
simply does not concern itself with that. If we were a religion in making these claims, I think you'd have a better case.
Okay,
There's plenty of groups. There's plenty of groups within society. The Boy Scouts, for example. There's
Bad example.
the context, the context of Albert Pike.
there's tons of groups that have certain base level requirements, but then leave subjects that are not the purview or the
Use Alcoholics Anonymous as an example. We've done this a little bit. Let's use Alcoholics Anonymous as an example. You have to believe in a higher power in order to go through the 12 steps.
It's based on Masonic principle.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is about the 12-step program is it did start off on a Christian basis. It did start off on a Christian basis, with Christian principles, but then it developed into this, well, to get anybody in, you can believe in anything being your higher power. Your friend can be your higher power. Your motorbike can be your higher power. It's silly. It's silly. Alcoholics Anonymous when it comes to that. So, I mean, yeah, much and such. But it did start off in Christian principles, but it's not Christian anymore.
AA is? Yeah.
So you think that Alcoholics Anonymous inherently denies Christ or is incompatible with Christianity?
That's a straw man.
No, I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to fuck with you. Excuse me, guys. But do you believe that this is not intentionally a straw man or distraction. I just want to know your answer. Do you believe that Alcoholics Anonymous is incompatible with Christianity in the same way that you believe Freemasonry is incompatible with Christianity?
It depends on.
I do. I mean, initially, like I say, originally it was Christian, based on Christian principles, but a God of your own understanding and anything can be your God. Of course, it's incompatible.
On how far Alcoholics Anonymous would try to enforce their principles of generic theism. So it really depends. And
yeah,
I mean, their statements.
So there's a degree to which it's acceptable.
Their statements are sufficiently vague to allow for all kinds of possible things. So that would really depend upon the specifics. But Albert Pike is arguing the context of God. This whole chapter is about theology, not philosophy, theology. So he's saying that in terms of theology, perfect truth is not attainable anywhere. Do you believe that perfect truth is not attainable anywhere?
Well, I believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the light, but I don't believe that in our current state we're able to have like an omniscient understanding of absolute truth. I think there's all sorts of things happening in the universe that I don't know. There's what you know, there's what you don't know, and there's what you don't know that you don't know. I don't claim just because I'm a Christian to have attained absolute truth. I believe that I've attained absolute truth in the sense that I know who God is, and I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So in the sense that, would you call that absolute truth? Because when I hear the word absolute truth, I mean all truth. I think of all truth.
No, so there's nothing in the word absolute truth or objective truth that necessitates omniscience. And so I think that
I see what
the irony here is that it's the Masons.
Yes, I believe
You want to play the word game.
I understand. I understand.
Absolute truth doesn't mean all truth. You know, God is the ultimate truth. He is the absolute truth. But it doesn't mean all truth. Every single individual truth doesn't mean absolute truth. That's complete truths, not absolute. I mean, yeah.
trying to mess with you. I believe in absolute truth. I am an objectivist. I am not a subjectivist.
Okay.
Just to answer your question more directly.
So the whole point of this was to say that the teachings of Satanism are that you are your own God, which is what Satan says in the garden to Adam and Eve. You determine reality. You determine what's true and what's false. Right. And the original presentation that you guys gave as to why Masonry is so awesome is because it doesn't have apostles, it doesn't have authorities, it doesn't have dogmas. It's simply a philosophy, and you can kind of craft it as you want with it from within it. But then we saw that no, there's actually a lot of requirements, a lot of dogmas, a lot of qualifications, and they teach a subjective.
A lot of rituals, a lot of ceremonies, you know, a lot of dogma, like you said, dogmas, and they say they don't have dogmas, but they have good dogmas.
This relativist idea at the same time as contradicting it with the idea that there are dogmas and authorities. That was the argument.
I don't believe that Freemasonry teaches a subjectivist relativist philosophy.
Okay,
just because Albert Pike says that absolute truth is unattainable does not mean that absolute truth does not exist. I am an objectivist. I believe in that, and even if
it's unattainable, what's the point in it? If it's unobtainable, what's the point in it? What's the point in there being the absolute truth if it's unobtainable? It's then a tease. It's a blue ball thing. It's silly.
Even if I'm the one misinterpreting Pike here, it doesn't matter what Pike says. It's just his opinion.
Okay, who does it matter in Masonry in terms of who said it? Because there were authorities apparently. So who determines the regular and the irregular lodges?
So I can go back to that with these ideas of the landmarks. Each lodge, each Grand Lodge, is the supreme authority in that jurisdiction. It will recognize or unrecognize another Grand Lodge.
So there are authorities and there are things that will get you unrecognized.
We've already been through this, Jay, so, you know.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't like me going back to it when you're referring to the same fallacious argument from before. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, I don't see how anything I've said is incongruent, that there is a Masonic authority. There is a structure that governs a governance structure of the fraternity that is completely different than saying that one man, Albert Pike, or
I didn't make that argument as an authority. I didn't make the argument.
Well, my argument was that they aren't authorities, and then you tried to put words in my mouth and say that I
didn't a straw man. I didn't put any words.
Say that there are no authorities. It's not what
you argued in your opening statement. There's no authorities.
In the context of, I specifically pointed out those books and those authors, and I said that one man does not speak for Masonry.
Okay, so not one man.
There is a governance structure of Freemasonry.
Yeah, so you're equivocating and changing. You're moving the goalpost from the opening statement saying authorities, and you're saying that, I just know one dude as an authority.
In the opening statement, he said there is no one man who speaks for Masonry. He did.
But he also said there's no apostles and authorities. So
in the context.
So, okay, fine. So there is an authority that is a body, correct?
There's a governance structure to Freemasonry.
So there are authorities, and you do have authorities that you submit to, and you can be removed from the lodge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you cast it as if it's a free-thinking organization with no dogmas?
I didn't cast it at that. I started my opening statement by saying that you were going to bring quotes from individuals and try, which you did do when you pointed out that the name was Morals and Dogma. You attempted to make the argument that this is Masonic.
No, I didn't. No, you missed the argument. You still fundamentally misunderstand.
And then when I corrected you that the words of Albert Pike are not Masonic dogma, we went in this circular argument.
It wasn't a circular argument. It was a contradiction logically to say that there are dogmas, that there's a dogma that there's no dogmas. I was making a joke about the name of
dogma that there's no dogmas. There's just there's just few dogmas. Like
so there are dogmas.
Yes, if you would consider the requirement that you have to believe in God in order to be a Freemason, a dogma, then by that definition, there is a dogma.
Did you not just then qualify that I can't be a Satanist and be a Mason? So there's now other qualifications that would exclude me. So there's more to the dogmas. That's why you guys are being dishonest.
Well, is the definition of dogma different for you guys? That was why I was asking what it is for Orthodox and not for...
The thing that gets you excluded from the group. How's that?
Yeah. It's dogmas.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
the idea that there's not dogmas is not true. Thank you.
That wasn't the point that was made. The point was that the words of Albert Pike are not Masonic dogma.
Yeah, that's a straw man, dude. I didn't argue that his words are dogma. I said that it's funny that he titled his book Morals and Dogma, and I said the contradiction is the argument that the dogma is there's no dogma.
How is it compatible to claim that there are dogmas, which I'm not even disputing, but then simultaneously claim that the organization advocates for subjectivism and relativism. I mean, if there's absolute dogmas, then it's inherently not subjectivist or relativist.
Exactly. That's the point, Chase. It's a contradiction. I'm arguing you guys contradict yourself. That's what you do in debates, is you point out logical contradictions.
Okay, and can you tie it directly to how any of what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes or so makes Freemasonry incompatible with Christianity? Well, which is the fundamental question.
Christian can't affirm any kind of subjectivism and moral relativism in terms of even theological authorities. You have to believe that there's some kind of theological authorities.
Which I do, and Chase does.
Yeah. Who are the theological authorities?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. My dogma when it comes to my religion is Christianity. It's not Freemasonry.
Okay. So what Christianity?
Me personally, I'm loosely Protestant. I'd rather not announce my congregation here.
Would you admit?
Okay. Dox my family too much.
You're a Protestant. Fine. Historically, are there bodies of people that can determine what's normative to be a Christian and not be a Christian?
What do you mean by can? There certainly are that have, but what do you mean by can?
Do you believe that anybody has the normative authority to declare in church history at any point, whenever or never, that there are these people that count as Christians and these people that don't? Because it seems absurd to me, because you guys accept this authority amongst the Masons, but I'm going to bet that historically you don't accept that there's any historical group that has that authority.
I would say that Jesus Christ has that authority solely.
Historically, Chase, after Jesus in the history of the church.
Do I believe that anybody has the authority to speak for God or the theology of what's true or not true?
Does anybody in church history have the normative authority to declare who is and is not a part of this?
Do you mean actually legitimately have the authority, or those who have exercised that authority? Because yes, I could look at the Nicene Council and I could say, all right, they had authority. They established this.
Do you believe that they have the normative authority to do that? No, you think they assert
No,
it?
I don't really think that anybody has perfectly been able to speak for God since Jesus Christ.
Okay. Do you agree, or do you have a different position?
Loosely with that, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, do you accept the canon of Scripture now?
The canon of Scripture?
Yeah.
Yes.
66 books?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know that it's relevant.
So it's not relevant who decides what books make up the Bible?
Let me. I'm asking because
the fundamental question of the debate is whether or not Freemasonry is compatible with Christianity.
I want to know what
it's not which branch of Christianity.
I want to know what you think Christianity is. That's relevant.
What I think Christianity is belief that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, that he died and rose again.
Why is it not a fair question to ask if you believe in church history that anybody has the authority to do that?
I'd be sitting here as a Muslim and having the same debate and making the same points. It's irrelevant what my faith is.
You're proving my point.
No, it's irrelevant what my faith is.
How is it irrelevant?
To the question of whether or not Christianity is compatible with Freemasonry. You could have two atheists having the same debate where one said Christianity is compatible with Freemasonry and another atheist says it's not.
Because you claim to be Christian and representing a form of Christianity that's compatible, I want to know what you think Christianity is.
Well, real quick. Just so I don't think this is actually swaying from the prompts, because it's actually really important whether or not you accept authority historically in the church or not. Because let's just say, for example, that you accept that the putting together of the books in whatever council that was. I can't think about this at right now, but nonetheless, there have been other declarations in the church that Freemasonry is to be condemned and you'll be excommunicated. So if you were to, submit to authority in that sense, that'd be a direct contradiction to Freemasonry at the time. I'm not trying to make your point for you. I'm just trying to demonstrate that I think it actually ties into the debate prompt.
I'm making the argument, again, let me make it very clear. I'm making the argument that it's ironic that these individuals will accept a decentralized authority about who's in and out of Masonry. But when we ask them about Christianity, there's no actual authority or normative authority within church history to do anything like that. I think that's just absurd.
Well, equating Freemasonry with a religion as such as Christianity is absurd. That's the point that we're trying to make. And it's not that my Christian beliefs aren't important, but we're not here to debate.
But you said that Christianity was
Orthodoxy.
You said in your opening statement, you said Christianity is above your tie to the lodge.
What?
That's right.
We're tied? No, I said.
Yes, you did. You said that
you personally submit.
You said the duty of the Mason to Christ is above the duty to the brothers.
The duty of a Mason to his own faith.
My duty is to Christ over the duty to the lodge.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my point. Exactly.
But were you see personally as them or more broadly as like all people?
Just like any other, I'm a member of the National City Club. It's a private club downtown.
A false equation.
There's no,
To equate that to Freemasonry is a totally false.
just take your pick of any group. You know,
Those groups don't require a belief in generic monotheism. And
Well, I think Alcoholics Anonymous was a good example. I mean, this is an organization that requires a belief in a supreme being in order to go through the 12 steps. It's part of the 12 steps. And if you're
but your organization is not just requiring belief in a generic theism, as we've seen, as we actually suss that out, there's all of these other things that come into play, which is, and I'm arguing that the rest of the ethos of that system and the teachings that you guys had is antithetical to Christianity. First of all, there is no such thing as generic theism. And I'm illustrating that with the satanic point.
Yeah, and Freemasonry doesn't advocate that generic theism is true. It just accepts people of all faiths if they believe in it.
it never makes the claim that all faiths are equal, that it's all the same God.
Okay, so how do you reconcile the could I, for example, be a member?
My point. How can you reconcile that when you're not meant to be an equal yoke, but yet you're in a brotherhood with people you're unequally yoked with if you're under Christ? It makes no sense.
Of the Communist Party.
Christianity, they're part of the enemy. You're not meant to fraternize with the enemy. Pray for them, absolutely, and all that stuff. Love them, but not fraternize with them. Fraternize, fraternity.
Because they don't make any claims about anything. So let's say that there's a bunch of Marxist communists, and I say I'm a Christian Marxist. Does that make sense?
I'm not following you, sorry.
He's asking if it's possible to be a Christian and a Marxist.
Is it antithetical to be a Christian and a member of the Marxist Party?
I would say so.
Okay.
Probably.
Is it antithetical to be a member of a Gnostic sect and to be?
I'm sure there are examples of people that felt that they were Marxist and Christian.
That's not what I asked. I asked, is it theologically compatible?
And my opinion, no.
Marxism, I would say no.
Okay. Is it theologically sensible to be a Christian and a Gnostic?
You know what?
No.
I think I might change my position. I'm not a communist by any means. I hate communism. But I think you could be a Christian and a communist because I think that we all miss the mark in our attempt to be Christian. I mean, there's so many different ways that I think any of us could be pointed out, certainly in judgment, the ways that we've behaved or acted or believed that's hypocritical to the faith.
Yeah, but how?
And so I would
hold the values of Marxism and the values of Christianity, the principles of Christianity.
say that if somebody really genuinely believes that Jesus Christ died, rose again for the forgiveness of all sins, and they happen to be of a communist persuasion, even though those philosophies are inherently incompatible, I can't really think of any political philosophy that's 100% congruent with Christianity other than just Christianity.
Okay. Is it possible to be a Gnostic and a Christian at the same time?
Define Gnosticism.
The early Christian sects that teach the Gnostic teaching.
My personal belief is Gnosticism is heretical, but I think a Gnostic would believe themselves to be a
So again, you keep saying my personal beliefs. You don't think that is objectively the case. You just think that it's subjective. So this is the Masonic mind double.
He's saying it's true because it's his personal belief. Yeah.
what I believe.
Well, they're Protestants, right? So, I mean, aren't you the only? So, Orthodox and Catholics would say different than. I mean, isn't it up to each Protestant to decide that for themselves? They gave a different framework of belief than you do.
So again, like the initial argument that there's no authorities, which was qualified to be, there are authorities in the sense of bodies who govern the Masonic orders and decide who's in and who's out, tells me again that what you find is at every point when you really boil into what they mean, it gets redefined to be the very thing that they initially said in the sales pitch is not that, right? So the sales pitch is it's a free-thinking society of men building a better world to make men better. What is the standard by which you judge and know what makes something better or good? What's the value judgment there?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know that it's explicit. There are certainly opinions. There's certainly a culture.
So it's relative.
But it's not arguing for relativism. It's arguing for everybody pursuing the best version of themselves without making so many explicit claims as to what that is.
Relative.
Let me ask you this, Jay. Would you say that Lutheranism is incompatible with Christianity?
We don't recognize Lutheranism as Christianity.
Okay. What about any form of Protestantism, whether it's Baptist, Church of Christ, just not Christian.
No.
Incompatible with Christian.
They're Christian in name, but not authentically.
Okay, so the only legitimate, authentic Christians in your point of view are Greek Orthodox?
No, any Orthodox.
Any Orthodox, excuse me. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. Okay, so if you are not an Orthodox Christian, even if you think that you're going to a Christian church or you're a Christian, you're not legitimately a Christian. You're either mistaken or...
That's where I would disagree with Jay Dyer there. Completely disagree there.
fallen or... Okay.
How is that incompatible with?
I'm not making a claim. I just wanted to point
It's a rhetorical point to make me seem like the dogmatists and you guys are the free thinkers, which is why I preemptively argued at the beginning that they're actually dogmatists and not free thinkers.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about like what we're not and all this, but I'm happy to just talk about what we are. You can call it dogma if you're a sales pitch.
I'm just, for the sake of the audience, either listening online or they're here, Jay does not believe that you're a Christian unless you're Orthodox.
Yeah.
So again, this was a rhetorical note. It's not an argument. It's a rhetorical. This is an appeal to the audience fallacy. I want everybody to note that.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you this, and let me ask you a little bit different question. Can you?
Would anyone just like to know?
Can you
believe?
Can you be? What's an example like another secular organization? Can you be a member of the Green Party and a Christian, or is the Green Party incompatible with Christianity? The Libertarian Party. How about another example? Can you be a formal member, dues-paying member, whatever, of the Libertarian Party, and is that compatible with Christianity?
Your question is a false analogy, comparing it to the Masonic Society, which I do not accept and do not grant is a non-theological society. Your argument is premised on that, and the whole opening 20 minutes demonstrated that you guys are theologically inclined. You just act like you're not, so it's a false equivalence.
That's true. That's true.
What is it? The Masonic Lodge is not like...
They act like they're not theologically inclined when they certainly are. They certainly are.
The Green Party, because the Masonic Lodge requires theological beliefs, even though you say you don't.
It just requires the belief in a supreme being, though. If it is a compatible, it's a compatible belief with Christianity, because Christianity also has this.
Notice what he just did there. He said, we only require belief in a supreme authority, when we already saw in the first 30 minutes that he qualified that to say, well, you can't be a Satanist and you got to believe this, you got to believe this. So there's all these other things. It's a sales pitch when they say it's just this one thing you have to believe. Then they turn around and qualify it with a giant paragraph of all the other things that you can't be and have to believe. It's inconsistent. That's the point. You don't see...
Yeah, those type of words is mockery. And wizardry.
See that argument?
In certain instances.
No. Oh, come on, dude.
I don't.
One dogma that's then qualified by giant paragraph of actually what it really...
I literally just said that, wizardry. You said sorcery, I said wizardry. Same thing.
means. It's not one dogma.
It's not a what? I'm sorry.
It's not one dogma.
One dogma.
It's not just one dogma.
Very few dogmas.
Okay. So moving the goalposts is what we call that.
Yeah. So there's requirements for membership.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. We call it a sales pitch. However you want to frame it, you can do that. It's just the truth. I said the simple version was a belief in supreme being, and then I said there's more to it than that, and then we can get into it later. There's no attempt to hide, or it's a simplification for the matter of debate.
It's moving the goalpost. That's not simplification.
We'll call it what you
One's a fallacy and one's explaining.
There's lots of beliefs and teachings within Masonry. There's few requirements or dogmas, one of which is this belief in a supreme being.
That's my dog's ma.
To whom all men are accountable. That's the way it's worded in Tennessee. Might be worded differently in other jurisdictions. Tennessee, you have to be of lawful age, which we require 18. Some jurisdictions it's 21. You can't be a female. You can't be an atheist. You have to be of sound mind. We say you can't be an old man in dotage, which is essentially, you have to have your moral fact.
Can't be Joe Biden.
Yeah, can't be Joe Biden. So yeah, there's some base level requirements. And then as we are interviewing people, we try to discover your moral character, so to speak. And, that can be subjective, I would suppose. We're not experts in that, but we do our best in trying to figure out who you are as the individual. For me, at least, I would say, if you're a Satanist, don't meet the requirements. If you're a communist, I would say that would also not meet the requirements.
But is it up to you?
It's up to the individual lodge, and it's a unanimous vote. So yeah, in some ways,
one lodge could accept the Satanist, another one couldn't.
It's theoretically possible, but I've been a Mason for 18 years now. I know thousands of Masons I've never met.
Okay, but the point isn't that it's
Could a lodge let someone in who shouldn't get in? Yes,
No.
that happens.
the
Yeah.
question is, how do you determine what good moral character is? What's the standard? And Chase said that's a good question.
See,
So if this is a society based
I was
around,
talking about Marxism earlier on. Could you be a Christian, be a Christian, be Marxist? I would say no. Well, communism is pretty much the same thing, I think, as Marxism. Pretty much and such. They're in the same bed. So, he used that afterwards. I don't know why he used that, because it contradicted the last time he used it. Well, that he used Marxism last time, but to me, they're the same thing, much and such. They're very closely linked.
ethics and values and value judgments, those are metaphysical, ethical claims. I want to know what the good is. How do we determine the good?
I think that's up to it's up to you with your relationship with God.
Okay, but your other Masonic brothers can be Hindus who determine the good according to Hinduism, right?
Right, exactly, mate. Exactly. So no dogma, but goes on to a list of bunch of requirements, which is down to an authority, which they deny. Right. So there is dogma. There is dogma, which they denied at the start. Doesn't matter how many dogmas there are, but there's certainly dogma. And if there's such things as the what do you call it? Rituals, and the blooming hell, I said it earlier. Wow, why the words have just slipped out my head. The rituals and I can't remember what I said it was. The rituals and whatever, and now I've lost my point completely because I was trying to think of a word. Yeah, they're dogmatic. If you've got rituals and stuff like that, then that's a teaching. You have to do this to do that. It's a teaching. It's dogmatic.
Yeah, there's a situation in which that's the case. Yeah.
Okay, so how do we know what the good is? It sounds relativist again.
I don't know that Freemasonry makes a claim as to which of those persuasions is correct.
It doesn't.
So then how are you making good men better if you don't even know whether Hinduism is better than Protestantism or not?
Because it doesn't make those claims in the context of like path to salvation. When it comes to our system, like you asked, how do we make good men better? We do have moral and philosophical teachings.
Which are what? Based on what?
Ceremonial. I meant rituals and ceremonies. That's what I meant.
Philosophy and morals that are brought in, that are to Russell's. No, you let me answer and I'll just tell you. That's easy. You can just quit cutting me off and I'll just tell you. So we teach the 4 cardinal virtues: fortitude, prudence, temperance, and justice.
Why are we supposed to accept those? Like this says who?
This is what we teach.
Okay, but why are we supposed to think that that's right?
You don't really have to.
Well, do they make a claim? Relativism, subjectivism, which we've been taking.
Do they make a claim that that's right, or is it just that's part of the group, and if you want to join it, so be it?
Well, we teach that that those are right. We teach that the 7 liberal arts and sciences are the way to make a way to make yourself a better man. Trivium.
I'm starting to doubt all of the Masonic conspiracies now, because there's no way that this sect could have actually organized any meaningful revolution in history. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's just a joke, dude.
Yeah.
Rather get mad now. So
I'm not angry. I just don't have a response.
No, that's you asked for us to answer a question. We start to ask.
Okay.
And you come,
do you think that you have to be You
Yeah.
mentioned philosophy. Do you think you have to be philosophically consistent in your argumentation?
Absolutely unimportant nonsense. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely arbitrary.
Sure.
Do you have to be for what? To be a Mason
In a debate.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. Yeah.
Okay. So can I make fallacious arguments against Masonry? Or would you call it out?
We call it out.
Thank you. So when you guys make bad arguments and I ask you what the standard of the good is, and you say it's just these virtues, and then you say that
it's just these virtues.
Okay.
So
it is those and more.
It's part of it and more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to it.
And then you say that a Hindu can be in and he can have his system, and this other guy over here can be a Protestant and whatever. That's the point, is that there is no standard of good by which you're making good men better. It's arbitrary, and I can't figure out how am I going to be a philosophically better man. We're going to make good men better if there's no standard of what makes men good. If it's subjective and you allow satanic, demonic people like Hindus, they have a satanic religion. If they're allowed to come in and say that, well, my standard of good is to worship Shiva, can I be a thuggy and be a Mason? Temple of Doom?
I don't know what that is.
It's a joke, dude.
I don't know. Yeah.
Nobody's seen Temple of Doom.
It's incompatible with Christianity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it is.
All right. This is let's pivot for a second and talk about oaths. This is an interesting topic because in Freemasonry you have to take oaths. I don't want to speak for you guys, but my understanding is that's the case.
Right.
And
You've got to take oaths, but yet they're meant to be Christians. And in James 5:12, which is taken from Matthew, it says, do not swear that is anything that is in heaven or on earth, but let your yes be yes and your no be no. Jesus talks about don't swear about on anything. You can't change anything by swearing. You can't change the color of the hair on your head, by swearing. And then you're putting a curse on someone's life usually. I swear on this person's life. I swear on this. I swear on that. Don't swear. Let your yes be yes and no be no. But yet they have to take oaths, which is swearing on this, pledging allegiance to that. No. How do you reconcile that to Christianity? How do you reconcile that to being a Christian, being a Mason? You just can't.
I want to read a Bible verse from James 5:12, which says,
Oh, I just said that. James 5:12. Do not swear on anything that is in heaven or on earth, but let your yes be yes and your no be no. I just said that.
above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, not by heaven or earth or anything else. All you need to say is a simple yes or no. Otherwise, you will be condemned. Now, I'll just kick it over to the Masons here. Either of you guys can pick this up, but
literally just said that.
How do you interpret that verse?
Literally just said that. Fair play to the moderator there. Fair play.
And also take oaths in on your journey ascent in Freemasonry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so my interpretation doesn't come from Freemasonry. That's just what I was taught that verse meant and what I tend to agree with what that verse meant. I'd be interested to hear Orthodoxy's take on that verse, but it's and there's an allusion there to also what Jesus says something similar with let your yes be
that's
yes.
where it's taken from. James is talking about from when Jesus was talking about it. Obviously, that's where he's took it from.
Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. So, my understanding is that this is in reference to frivolous, malicious oath taking in the context of if I owe Chase money and I say, hey man, I swear to God, I'm going to pay you back on Friday. You're invoking the name of God in a frivolous fashion in order.
It's just God. It says, don't swear on anything that's on heaven or earth. So they're talking about your kids, your wife, your life. Don't swear on your life. Don't swear on your brother. It's not about just frivolous. It's you don't take any oaths. Simple as that. James 5:12 says it, like I said. So yeah. Right, let's take it from hold on. Be patient, brethren. Right, we'll take it from there. Therefore be patient, brethren, James 5:7. Until the coming of the Lord, see how the farmer waits until for the precious fruit of the earth. Wait patiently until it receives the early and the latter rain. You also be patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not grumble against one another, brethren, lest you be condemned. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. My brethren, take the prophets who spoke the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and patience. Indeed, we count them blessed who endure. You have heard of the perseverance of Job and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and merciful. But above all, it's saying not just frivolous things, because it's saying above all, that's making it important. It's defining, it's making a statement about it, saying especially this, above all, my brethren, do not swear either by heaven or by earth or with any other oath, but let any other oath, not just frivolous oaths, any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no be no, lest you fall into judgment. Judgment. Not talking about the judgment of this guy over there, that guy over there. Talking about the judgment of God. It says, no oaths, any other oath, you know, and above all, it's making a point, making a statement. Don't swear. Don't swear. Don't take oaths. That's why when I go to court, I don't. I'll say, look, I'll tell you the truth, but I ain't swearing on nothing. I ain't swearing on no Bible. Anyway, and I have done it. I have done it. Where I've told them, no, not happening, not swearing. Yes, exactly. Our entire reality, because since birth, has been because of these oaths. Right. And they're always taking pledges. They're always taking oaths, you know. And the Bible literally says it. Jesus says it. And James, when James is talking about it, that is because of what Jesus said.
To sometimes deceive or manipulate. It's not incompatible with a serious or solemn oath. The vows that I took to my wife when we were married, that's an oath that I take seriously. I don't think that James is speaking or Jesus is speaking against those types of oaths. We see those types of oaths in the military. We see them in oaths of office. You even see it in the Bible in Hebrews. I believe it's chapter 7. You're talking about the priest class of Melchizedek. And it says, in order to be, I'm paraphrasing, obviously I can get the real quote, but that in order to be one of these priests of Melchizedek, you have to take this oath. And that there are others who did not take that oath. So I've not viewed that verse as being anti-oath. It's anti-frivolous, malicious, misleading oaths.
Before we open it up for open discussion, just a quick clarifying question is, what is the principle by which an oath goes too far in the form of James 5:12?
It's like if you were to say, I swear to God, I'll be there tomorrow on time.
That's a good example, but do you have like a principle? So what is the like sorting principle for the two things, you know, where it's good or bad? Is there a line in the sand, or is it just kind of a...
I'm just going to quickly go to where Jesus says it. Matthew 5. He says it in 5, bet that yes there in 5:37. But yes, so Matthew 5:34. Well, let's actually go from 33. Jesus forbids oaths. Forbids oaths. Not just any frivolous oath, like whatever. Forbids it. Right. Again, you have heard, this is Jesus. Hold on, let's red letter it so you know. There you go, red letters. So it's Jesus' words. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all. Neither at all, Jesus says, do not swear at all. Neither by heaven, for it's God's throne. See, James tells you by heaven or by earth. He doesn't elaborate, but Jesus elaborated. So James is taking it from Jesus, obviously. For it's God's throne, nor by earth, for it's his footstool. Ever seen a bloody spherical footstool? No. Nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Nor shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. Like I said earlier, change the color of your hair. But let your yes be yes and your no be no. For whatever is more than these is from the evil one. So if you're making an oath, if you're not just saying yes, yes, no, no, and you're doing an oath, it's from the evil one. From the evil one. And so how do they reconcile that? It's not just James 5:12. It's Jesus himself saying it, and they are allegedly Christians. Jesus says not to make oaths. At all. At all. Anyway, back to it.
Well, I think, it's a good question. I haven't really thought about how to define it explicitly, but I would say that when we get married, for example, our marriage vows are oaths that are totally compatible with Christianity. So that's an example of an oath that's acceptable, right? And then there's ones that are obviously frivolous. And I think what the point was with Jesus saying, let your yes be yes and let your no be no, is just be such an honest person that all you have to do is say yes or no.
Yeah, I actually agree with all that. I don't take any issue with any of that. I would say that, obviously we take oaths. If we go to court, you lay your hand on the Bible, you take an oath. I don't see any problem with that. I don't think we've ever had a problem with that. We take an oath in marriage, as they pointed out. But I would say that the blood oaths that are required for Masonry might be problematic.
What do you mean by blood oath? Like the blood is spilled?
Oaths mean.
I'm sorry?
You tell me what your oaths mean.
Well, when I hear blood oath, I think of, and maybe I'm just totally wrong about this, so please clarify. I think of like somebody actually cutting their hand open and there's blood in.
When you get married, it's an agreement before God, not an oath. Maybe they define it as an oath, but to me, it's an agreement before God, not a swearing oath. I swear by, this or that. That's a different thing. Taking a vow and not swearing on anything, like if you're just saying, I promise that I'm going to be faithful, that's not taking an oath. That's a different thing. I think marriage vows are a different thing. That's something before God. That's not, swearing by something that's in heaven, trying to curse it, or something that's an agreement before God of your relationship, of yous coming into one flesh. It's an agreement. So I think your vows are different from oaths by swearing by something. Completely different.
Involved in the oath.
I mean, don't you take an oath to have your throat slit should blah, 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 blah happen?
So there's penalties in these obligations. We won't discuss the specifics of those obligations. Yeah, you can laugh at that. You can go find them online if you want.
Well, if you can find them online, why can't you?
I'll explain. I will simply say that if you believe those are
because they're online, because they're hidden in plain sight, but you won't say it because you're meant to keep the secret, but put things in plain sight to see. So it's just a contradiction, what you're doing to what you profess.
Literal oaths.
Maybe.
Is that your claim?
Maybe you interpret it symbolic. That's why I said, depending upon how one interprets those oaths. Now, I know that there have been cases like the William Morgan affair where it was not interpreted.
Exactly, Justin. The twist definition is like Orthodox. Level equals corrupt. Exactly, bro. Same thing.
Interpreted as purely symbolic. Maybe you guys nowadays don't hold to that, so I don't want to be unfair to you. I would steel man your position. But I mean, like,
right.
In your rights, for example, and you can correct me if this is wrong, in the Royal Arch degree, you reveal that the true name of God is Jabulon, Yahweh, Baal, and On. So that's in your liturgies. That's your rites and your rituals. That's not your theologians or your speculators here. I don't see how that any Christian would literally think that the name of God is Jabulon and then say that this is not a theological society and I can interpret this however I want. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I would argue that Freemasonry never makes a claim as to what the real name, true name of God is.
I mean, is that part of the Royal Arch degree?
I don't believe so.
And the York Rite capitular side doesn't have the name Jabulon?
I do not believe that Freemasonry claims to define the name of God explicitly, correct?
So that you're saying that is not part of the Royal Arch degree in the York Rite's capitular side.
It's been a long time since I've seen that degree, but yes, that is what I'm saying.
All right. So everybody note this because he's making a claim that I think I don't have the whole liturgy in front of me of their rites, but I don't think that's true. But when you go in the lodge and I see, for example, that there's the floor and that there's the Jachin and Boaz and all this temple symbolism, how is all of this Old Testament temple stuff not religious?
Right.
What's your definition of religious?
And idolism also. Iconography.
You told me and you said that it's not a religion, it's a philosophy. Yet when I walk into a lodge, it's a celestial vision into the heavens and the stars. And there's Jachin and Boaz, which is out of the Old Testament. It's the temple. We just, by the way, toured the...
I see what you're saying, Jay. There are certainly elements of Freemasonry that are derived from religion. And specifically King Solomon's Temple, Jacob, Boaz, all that stuff, yes. But
but it's not a religion, it's a
Right.
philosophy.
More-
Correct.
These are symbols. The entire name Freemasons comes from stonemason guilds. We use the tools of Masons. We use the story of the building of King Solomon's temple to teach certain moral and philosophical principles. Just because we have a story out of the Old Testament or the pillars that were outside of
Just a story, or is every element of the lodge in some way symbolic of metaphysical realities like the tile floor and the dualities in nature and Jacob and Boaz, the two pillars from the temple? Is it not, for example, based on Kabbalah?
It has elements of Kabbalah and some parts of Masonry. Yeah.
So again, the ambiguity in the term, it's just a philosophy, not a religion, is ambiguous.
That's what I'm saying. I said that earlier, Justin. You just said not one of those dudes ever built anything. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Imagine calling yourself Freemasons when you've never actually, a real stonemason builds things. He builds with stone, with brick. They build things, and not one of these dudes built anything. Yeah, like you say. It's a weird thing to call it.
Precisely because you can elastically remove how far you want to make religion and theology, when, again, I think this whole discussion has shown that there's all kinds of theological positions and principles replete throughout, not just the
Certainly theological positions and principles are brought forth, but for the sake of contemplation, not so much as for the sake of making a claim as to their
I'm not a Kabbalist just because there's elements.
Yeah, but the point is not, are you a Kabbalist? The point is that it's not just a philosophy, it's replete with theological meaning.
Do you think that religions contain philosophy?
Yeah, but that's not the question. The question is Freemasonry just a philosophy?
If they do contain philosophy, we can't pull those.
That's a fallacy because it's a parts whole fallacy. I'm arguing against your position that you said it's just a philosophy. I didn't claim that there's no overlap between religion and philosophy. You said it's just a philosophy.
Yeah, and I said that we pull from those philosophies from different religions.
So but then it's not just a philosophy. It's also a religious group.
No.
How's it not?
I don't understand how it is religious just because certain elements of Freemasonry are
Your literature.
Freemasonry has
the rituals include the name of God and secret tetragrammaton. It's obviously religious. What are you talking about? And then you're casting it as, it's not religious. It's just a bunch of bros and we're whatever. Like, no, you're actually doing religious-based rituals.
I think that you can have ceremonies, rituals, initiations, whatever you want to call them, that have elements derived from religions without making any explicit religious claims.
But you already made a bunch of explicit religious claims in the first hour.
Just that God exists?
No, and then you qualified it to say it's not just God exists, actually, in fact. That was the point.
I'm not following.
Okay, yeah, you are. You just don't want to.
Wait, I have a question here. So it's the temple part aside, if I'm not sure exactly what you're referencing about the Jabulan thing. If there's an explicit claim on God itself, which is, it seems like that's what Jay insinuating, that does seem like that would be in violation of some pretty core Christian principles. What is actually, can you just flesh out what that is and have them?
So I'm trying to find their actual older.
Did you know this reference? What is Jabulan?
I'm not familiar.
No. Okay. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that either.
So it's the older Royal Arch Masonry rituals, which include the term Jabulan, which is supposedly the lost sacred name of God. And by the way, it's not just some internet site. I mean, it's also, the name of God is a huge issue that Albert Mackey, as an example, not an authority, as an example, says that finding out who the name of God is and what the name of God is, he says, is very important to Masons because it must be determined through a Kabbalistic Zohar-based interpretation. And he says, if you want to know where to look at this, he says, look to the Talmud and the Zohar. So again, the Tetragrammaton is, according to him, the male and female principles of nature, the generative and prolific energies of creation. So this is all metaphysical, theological speculation. And then they're saying that, no, it's just a philosophy. It's just these symbols, and you can maybe craft it into whatever you want. Where do you get the idea that you can take all the symbols of Solomon's temple and craft them into any?
Yeah, of course, mate. Of course.
thing that you want. To me, that's preposterous.
I don't think we're crafting them into anything that we want. We're very specific on what those symbols mean to us.
I thought you said that I can, if I'm a Hindu.
Let me provide some.
If I'm a Hindu and
Jay, let me provide some context. If you look at masonry throughout history, there was operative masonry, and then it became speculative.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason King Solomon's temple is such like a landmark, for lack of a better term, in Freemasonry is because it's like one of the most famous historical examples of architecture and the principles of masonry being applied from an operative standpoint. And so I think when the craft was crafted, it was used as like a setting and a frame of reference and a keystone to develop the symbolic philosophy of the fraternity.
Yeah, but you keep saying philosophy to make it not religious and theological when all of this is religious theological, and then you're removing the context and saying, well, they're just really personal symbols. For example, all masonry says that it is the job of masonry, as far as I'm aware, to, quote, rebuild the Temple of Solomon, and you guys debate what's not true.
No, I've never heard that.
Never heard that before.
Correct.
It is the job. Say it again.
It is the goal and the job of masonry to rebuild the Temple of Solomon.
No, I disagree with that.
Okay, so we just went to the giant Masonic monument in D.C. I put this up, and you can find this very easily. And by the way, most of these Masonic authors that I have here all say that the job of the Mason is to rebuild the Temple of Solomon.
You got that quote?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we went to the Alexandria monument, we got a walkthrough from the historian at the Alexandria monument. And Jamie, you were there. Did the guy not say that it is the job of the Mason to rebuild the Temple of Solomon? Thank you. Because that is what he said. Now, you could disagree with that. Perhaps that's something that individual Masons say, and it's not actually a normative teaching.
So you think it is a goal or job of masonry to physically rebuild?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
No, you believe that is unknown in its term. Or you may believe that is unknown in terms of what it signifies, but that spiritually and morally, it's crafting the temple of the individual Mason to be a better person. That was what it was explained to us at the temple. Now, you disagree with that?
I've never heard that framed as rebuilding the temple. Now, the act of improving yourself, we do take the symbolism of temple building, physical Freemasonry, and then we use those same working tools on building ourselves. We're not building physical temples anymore. We're building ourselves.
Yes, I know.
We're not rebuilding.
Okay, so that's playing word games.
So
obviously, I'm not saying that you think you're going to go literally rebuild the Temple of Solomon. You're saying that
well, you kind of made that claim in some, not tonight, but in previous articles.
No, I argued that maybe that is what you guys made.
Basically like acted like they were some Zionist organization that wants to rebuild the third temple. That was your claim that you've made in previous steps.
I mean,
you're alluding to it now. But
Freemasonry is bound up with Judaism. You don't think so?
It has Judaism in it.
Bound up to something, and
up with Judaism.
I mean, he just came to fill the law, but not abolish it.
Yeah, no, Christianity is not bound up with Judaism. That's false.
We didn't make that claim. You're saying it, but because
you just said that so is Christianity. It's not.
I'm saying that just because something contains Judaism does not make it Judaism.
What I'm saying is that you guys, through people like Mackie, say, go read the Zohar and the Talmud, and that's where you're going to get the secrets of who God is. That's rabbinic theology. That is not ancient.
I would certainly disagree with Mackie in that.
Yeah,
in that writing.
What do you disagree with Albert Pike too when he says the similar things?
Yeah,
okay,
I do.
And you disagree with Harvard scholars like William Green, who write books about Masonry's ethos being Jewish Kabbalah?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. So notice that it really is seemingly a thing that you can make it into whatever you want it to be, because when we bring up the actual Judaic ethos of it, and you don't find the emphasis on Christianity, except perhaps in later versions of the York Rite, Masonry downplays the deity of Christ, and it downplays the specifics of Christianity, which you saw Chase do when he asked me if I was a dogmatist and I only believe the orthodoxy was true. They downplayed the specifics and the absolutes, as Albert Pike says, because their whole society is based around syncretism and the idea that all the religions are just masks of one ultimate God. But you can also be a Christian But that's again like joining together with ecumenists or Freemasons. Those positions are antithetical to the absolutes of Christianity. So when Chase says that he believes in Jesus, what Jesus? The historical Jesus that the church teaches, or the Jesus that you've decided in the Protestant Bible?
The real one, the Son of God, the Messiah.
Is he the one that the Council of Nicaea defines?
He's the one that died on the cross and rose again.
Okay, but what historical body actually preserved those teachings and put together that Bible?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
And they put the Bible together?
No, I understand that they didn't put the whole Bible together.
Who did?
Well, it was Constantine, right?
No.
Nicene Council?
No, he didn't put the Bible together.
I'm sorry?
No, he did not put the Bible together.
Did he not commission everybody to come together and identify what's canon and what isn't?
No.
Okay, forgive me. Tell me.
Educate me. I mean, you guys believe the Bible, right? Like, what kind of Christianity is it that the Bible teaches? That is your definition of what Christianity is that Masonry is compatible with?
Well, Masonry is compatible with, again, Masonry is not making dogmatic claims about Christianity.
But it is. And we've seen that in this debate.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah, when does Masonry make dogmatic claims about Jesus Christ or Christianity?
Well, the belief that you can be a member of the society just by believing in a generic theism is antithetical to Jesus in John 14:6, that I'm the way, the truth, and the life.
So you say generic theism, what do you mean?
You also believe in a supreme being
Your Masonic teaching that there's just a supreme being.
Okay, that's not.
How do we identify what the supreme being is?
That's really not up to Masonry. Masonry doesn't involve itself.
Does that? It leaves it up to the individual.
Exactly. That's the point, that's antithetical to the way that Christianity defines who God is. That's the point.
Masonry makes no claims specifically.
That is the point.
It would be antithetical if Masonry said that all religions are equal. They all teach the same thing, that my belief in Christianity, that, I worship the same God as the Muslim, that would be a generic theism. That would
You do believe in worship the same God as a Muslim.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, your society, your Mason society accepts Muslims as monotheists and part of your society. So you believe that you could be a Christian and your theology doesn't play into the Masonic order and its teachings, and that's why it's double-minded and doublethink. That's the point.
I think it's just a gross misunderstanding.
Does Masonry teach that Muslims worship the same God?
Masonry doesn't make a claim.
It doesn't make a claim to that. It just says that Muslims are allowed.
If it allows Muslims, then it's acquiescing to that.
That's not necessarily true.
We said a supreme being. Is it the same supreme being?
Yeah, I understand.
No, we don't make the claim that that it is all the same supreme being.
Correct.
No,
correct. We do not make the claim that every religion's supreme being is the true.
Okay,
whichever one is
a Muslim. Does a Muslim worship the same?
Essentially, does a Muslim worship the same membership?
I do not believe that a Muslim worship.
I'm not asking you.
Does Masonry say and allow for Muslims to become members?
Yeah, but allowing is different from making a claim as to the authenticity or the truth.
If they're allowing it, it would be on the basis of the fact that they
that's false. The only reason that Freemasonry requires a belief in a supreme being is so that when you take your oaths, there's reason to believe that you feel that you're held accountable to your supreme being. So we're not going to try to convince a Muslim to swear an oath to a God that he doesn't believe in, because we understand that he won't feel held accountable to keep the oath. So the idea is, look, if you believe in God and Jesus Christ and you're a Christian and you take an oath on a Bible instead of whatever your holy book is, and that's because you believe that you'll be held accountable for the oath that you swear to your own God. If it's an accountability,
I believe that I am God. If I believe that I am God and I am the supreme being, can I become a Mason?
I've never even been presented with that question.
Doesn't matter. It's a theoretical question that's proving a point about an argument. I'm not actually saying that.
If somebody believes that they are God,
he would not get in the line.
There's no way they would get in.
What?
They wouldn't be accepted.
They would not?
No. I mean, okay. I don't know if it's technically against the rules, but there would never be an instance in which that person would be admitted into a lodge.
The supreme being, to him, all men are accountable. I don't know. Are you accountable to yourself?
Yeah.
Because you are the supreme being? I don't know.
And you can't be insane.
Beyond the
again, I guess
just don't let crazy people in or try,
I'm illustrating a point that every time you appeal to supreme being, it is sufficiently vague and generic, hence generic theism, to allow for anything, it appears. But then as we nail it down, it gets hyper specified and qualified about all of the things that don't count and all the things that do count, which demonstrates the point that you have a theology and a dogma, and you're not consistent with the other claims that you've made. That's the point. So how is it compatible with Christianity to be in a lodge together with totally different demonic positions? Like,
Because it's a secular organization. It's not a religious.
how is it secular when you've adopted all of these religious symbols and imagery?
Just because you're presenting people with religious ideas and different ancient mysteries or whatever doesn't mean that you're actually advocates for the belief in them.
Now you're dishonest because you said it's secular at the same time as saying that there are theological requirements to get in.
I mean,
so it's not
if you go to the
secular.
University of California and you engage in religious studies, it's still a secular program, even though you're
Not required
religion.
to believe in God, quote unquote, to get into the program. You require belief in God, and then you have a generic God. That's a contradiction. How is it not theological?
Because the only reason that Masonry requires a belief in God is for the sake of knowing that we can trust the oaths that the people take because they feel held accountable to their higher power.
I would also
Then why does it? Why can't I be accountable to myself as God?
I would also argue that beyond what Chase said, and not disagreeing with that, but just in addition to that, the teachings, the principles, not a theology. Just I don't know how else to say it. Do you believe that there are teachings and doctrines that are not theology?
Are you serious right now? Are you serious?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So you made a bunch of theological claims.
Okay, what are the bunch of theological claims that we
You can't be in the society if you believe this about God.
requirements?
You can't be in the society if you believe this about the deity in question. Those are theological claims and assertions.
Okay.
So you have a vast theology. Do you not understand this? This is a very simple. Are you serious?
No, I don't.
Not when you put the word vast in.
Did you not give me a whole bunch of people that wouldn't count, such as a Satanist and such as myself, believe on God or something like that? You said those theologies don't count.
I would say that those people wouldn't get into a lodge.
Yeah. Thank you. So you have theological requirements.
Is the point that it's a like a vote by the people and they would always vote that out, or that
Correct.
there's a specific
Correct.
principle and they're violating?
No, this is never going to be accepted into a regular lodge.
Fraternity, it's by its nature an exclusive organization, and whether it's a written rule or not, I'm not going to let a guy in that thinks he's God.
Thank you. So that proves my point that you have theological dogmatic positions. When you say that there's only one dogma, that's not actually the case. There are all these theological necessities that you have that exclude all of these other types of positions. That's the point. So it's not just a fraternity. It's not like a graduate program or like AA. That's the point.
Well, I see what you're trying to say. I would just argue that I think there's a difference, and I think we should define this difference between official written requirements of what it means to be a part of an organization and then the culture that is created as a conglomeration or a combination of the people who are actually a part of that organization.
What does that have to do with what is written?
So what I'm trying to say is Masonry that may not officially make a claim regarding the theological truth of Satanism, but because of the composition of the organization.
Good night, Mike. Sorry I have to go, man. Yeah, I've got to see my son in the morning as well. That's why I'm not talking much through this, rather just watching it, because otherwise I won't get over it. It'll take me ages to get to Rome, and I'll be up all night. So, and it's half an hour before midnight here, so that's why I ain't talking much. But nice one for being here, bro. Bless you, man. Always a pleasure.
And it's impossible that a Satanist would ever get in, because
Then you're making a theological
There's about 45 minutes left of it. Then we'll head over Rumble.
claim about who is and isn't allowed.
well, certainly whenever you vote on whether or not you can admit somebody into a lodge, you're making a decision based off whatever arbitrary sentiments or feelings that you have as an individual member.
You have a dogma that is a specific type of theology.
It doesn't even have to necessarily be based on the dogma of Freemasonry. I could just blackball somebody because I don't like them.
Okay, that's an even better argument for my case, because now you're admitting that it's not just the theology, it's also the practical concerns that allow you to reject people. So
yeah, but that's not.
Thank
But
you
it's
for
not.
helping my argument.
I'm not making the decision to blackball somebody based off of the official position of the fraternity. I'm making the decision to blackball somebody based off of just personal preference.
But it's still a theological personal preference, so that just argues in favor of what I'm arguing.
Not even necessarily. I could totally agree with somebody's theology, but if I dislike them, I can just blackball them. If somebody's a Satanist, like if they're like, they're Satanists,
then it would just be irrelevant to the question of whether Freemasonry has theological requirements for membership.
the only theological requirement for membership is that you believe in a supreme being.
That is not true, which we have seen in the first hour when you explicate that you can't be a Satanist, you can't believe you're your own God, and a host of other things that would exclude you.
All we said,
so you're not being
that's
honest.
all we said was that you would never get in. I mean, you could technically be a Satanist and a congressman. They probably half of them are, but nobody would actually vote for you have to sit outwardly spoken Satanist to be a congressman.
Are you guys just like, I don't understand, like you have theological requirements that exclude you. Thus, you have dogmatic things that you hold to. This is a very simple argument.
It. Like the explicit requirement is a belief in a supreme being. The practical requirements are complicated, and it depends on whichever lodge you're trying to join. I mean, if the guys in the lodge don't like you, you're not going to get in.
It's irrelevant.
No, I don't think it's irrelevant whatsoever.
You said a specific theological requirement of a supreme being, and then I ask you, who is that? What is that? What's the things that exclude me from that? And you list all of these things.
Yeah, right. They listed all those based off of the preference of any lodge. There's no way in the culture of Freemasonry that a Satanist would get accepted in any lodge, regardless of whether or not they technically would be allowed. Just as there's no way that a Satanist would be voted into Congress, regardless of the fact that they're technically allowed to be a Satanist in Congress.
You changed what the
You tell me there's no Satanists in Congress. They're all Satanists. What are you talking about?
requirement was to your personal statements and ideas about whether you want a Mason or whether you want a Satanist in the lodge. When the question was, do you have requirements about a type of supreme being? And you do.
We don't specifically have requirements.
You do, because you said the theology of a Satanist is incompatible with the theology of Masonry.
That's certainly my personal belief. But I didn't say the theology of Freemasonry. I said the principles and values of Freemasonry, not the theology.
So there's nothing antithetical between a Satanist and a Freemason theologically?
I believe that there is something antithetical between a Satanist and a Freemason philosophically, and that is my personal belief, which I believe it's total.
But I was using a theistic Satanist.
I'm still unaware of these Satanists that think that he is the supreme being.
Theistic Satanists believe that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether, even if there weren't any, I could theoretically propose that as a thing.
I mean, you can come up with every hypothetical you want, but.
Well, that's why they're useful for debates. So it doesn't matter whether they exist or not. It's how you do debates, bro.
Yeah.
So again, the point, as I hope you guys see, is that when we say exactly what they mean by the supreme being, they have all these qualifications and these criteria, and then Chase shifts it to say, that's my personal ethical reason why I don't want a Satanist in here. Shifting away from what the actual question is, which is, does Masonry have a dogma? They admitted, yes, it's just a supreme being. But then we find out in praxis and in reality, it's not just a supreme being, because we don't even know what that is. Again, it's like over and over and over.
But
you make these theological claims.
What about having a dogma, or specifically having the dogma of a belief in a supreme being, is in any way, shape, or form incompatible with Christianity? Because that's one of the dogmas of Christianity too, that you must believe in a supreme being.
It's called a word concept fallacy. It's called the quantifier shift fallacy. Let me give you an example really quick. I have one mother, you have one mother, you have one mother. Therefore, we all have the same mother. That's a fallacy, because just because they're all having one as their referent, it doesn't mean they're the same. So likewise, because all the religions believe in a God, it doesn't mean it's the same God.
Yeah, and we don't claim that it is.
Right, but Freemasonry, and I think, well, I see what you're saying, and I understand your point. You're right. But Freemasonry does not make a claim as to which supreme being is the real, true supreme being. Then it's meant to be ambiguous so that all faiths can go into the fraternity.
It's meant to be ambiguous, and then you turn around and you specify who gets in and who doesn't get in based on the theology. That's the whole argument.
No, I didn't. In fact, I explicitly denied the term theology, and what I explicitly stated was that there's no way that a Satanist would get into a lodge, because in any given lodge, that person would certainly be blackballed by one of the members.
Dude, do you not understand the argument? I'm not asking you, do Masons like Satanists? The point is that the argument demonstrates that supreme being is sufficiently vague as to not mean anything, and you're arbitrary when you start to say who doesn't get in, because those are theological assertions. That's the argument.
100% agree with you on what you just said. I just don't understand the point. Like, I don't see how
Then you don't have one dogma, and there's no such thing as generic theism. That's the point.
we don't have a dogma. We don't have one dogma. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Then how is that incompatible with Christianity if there's no dogma to be in conflict with Christianity?
The point is that you claim to not have a dogma, but you actually have a whole bunch. That's
So
the
wait, you're
argument.
saying we have a dogma now?
Yeah, it's a contradiction.
Yeah, and the dogma is that we require the belief in a supreme being.
And that is
Right.
more than
Christianity requires a belief in a supreme being too, and it's totally compatible with Freemasonry for you to believe that that supreme being is the God of Jesus Christ.
Christianity's supreme being is the triune God.
Yeah,
It is not generic theism that allows a Muslim and a Hindu to
I
say
understand, but nowhere in Freemasonry does it say that the triune God is not the supreme being.
Yes, it is, because you just said that you can be a member of the lodge if you believe in all these crazy heretical groups because you recognize the supreme being.
No, if you don't
It's
recognize
not one-
the supreme being is legitimate, you recognize that that person believes in that supreme being. Therefore, you can believe that if they take an oath upon the supreme being that they believe in, that they will be held accountable. They will believe that they will be held accountable to that oath, regardless of whether or not they actually will be held accountable. For example, if I'm a Muslim and I want to take my oath on a Quran instead of a Bible because I'm a Muslim, right? Freemasonry doesn't claim whether Allah is God or Yahweh is God or whether Jesus Christ is God. But if you're a Muslim, we want you to take an oath on the book that you believe in because we believe that you believe you'll be held
Yeah, I
accountable to the
understand
God
what
that you believe in.
I understand you're trying to remove it from what's said, but did you just say Freemasonry does not believe that Jesus is the Son of God?
No, I said that it doesn't make a claim. Either way, it doesn't make a claim. All it claims is that you must believe in a supreme being.
And I'm arguing that the supreme being itself, this line of argument that you guys have, is a denial of Jesus and the Trinity. That's my argument.
No,
it is.
Right, just like you said that the belief in higher power and
Because what you say about the supreme being, and when you flesh it out, contradicts the Christian theology of who Jesus is.
there is no contradiction.
I believe that Jesus.
The fact that you make it subjective doesn't remove my argument's force. That has nothing to do with what we're arguing.
I think it does because Masonry.
Then you guys think
Masonry
That's the
objectively,
entire argument.
Masonry objectively does not deny Christ. It just objectively doesn't.
when you allow
Like our Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't.
your belief in the supreme deity is itself a denial of who Christ is. That's the argument.
You don't believe in a supreme God? A
I
supreme
already showed you the word concept fallacy and the quantifier shift, that when you say supreme God, if I believe the supreme God is Satan, you qualify it to prove my point that it's a quantifier.
I understand, but just to require people to believe in a supreme being is not the same thing as acknowledging the authenticity of any specific supreme being. Freemasonry is not claiming which God is the real God. It's requiring
proving my point.
Right, because it's not a religion. It's a secular.
Oh, it is, as we've seen, as you qualify all of these things that exclude you. So
Yeah, but the way I qualified it was not by the official policies of any Masonic doctrine or law or writing or constitution. I'm just telling you that the culture of the fraternity is never going to allow somebody like that.
culture doesn't matter. All I have to do is logically prove that when you say that it's a supreme being, it is not equivalent to the Christian doctrine of the Trinity and the deity of Christ. It's a quantifier shift fallacy. It's a word concept fallacy, because you keep asking me, don't you believe in a supreme being? I don't believe in the supreme being as Masonry's philosophy lays out.
Masonry doesn't lay out.
It does lay out. As you
detailed
see, every time we talk about it, they explain that Masonry's philosophy allows it to be anything that you paste onto it. That is the argument why it's false.
Yes, it accepts different philosophies and
Thank
different
you.
theologies, the ideology into the organization. It accepts those, but it does not condone or endorse any of them.
The acceptance of a supreme generic being is itself a rejection of the Trinity and the
So when
Christ.
Anonymous requires you to believe in a higher power, but does not specify which higher power you must believe in, it is explicitly denying Christ.
If you're arguing that the supreme being that allows for all of the sects to come together under the Masonic banner, yes.
No, but there is no personification of a specific God in Freemasonry. There's just the requirement that you believe in the supreme being. The requirement.
When you say believe in the supreme being, you are attaching predicates that specify certain types of things. And then when you explain what that is, you say that it can't be theistic Satanism and it can't be me being God. So you refute yourself when you explain the terms.
I disagree because the
Good for
reputation,
you, but show me that's wrong.
the reputation of a Satanist getting into a lodge is not a matter of policy. It's a matter of practical outcome.
That's irrelevant to the way that you theologically describe the
Also,
supreme being.
Still, having a base set of requirements or foundational beliefs is not the same as us being a religion or making the claim that all religions are equal, that we're all worshiping the same God.
I didn't argue that. I just simply argued that the claim that you allow for and require a belief in a higher power that is a supreme being is itself already a rejection of the Trinity and the deity of Christ. That's the argument. Now, you can say we don't require a specific belief. None of that addresses the argument that I'm making. Do you not understand?
No, I think I understand. I just fundamentally disagree.
Okay, and how is it wrong?
Because I think that requiring someone to believe in a supreme being in order to be a member of an organization is not explicitly denying any specific supreme being.
There's nothing.
You denied that it's the theistic Satanist being. So that's why you're wrong.
There's nothing that I've ever experienced or been required in Masonry that has alluded to or required me to somehow not have a belief in a Trinity, not have a belief in Jesus.
The fact that
These are my individual personal beliefs that make me a part of this organization. And we've beat this to death, but we could go into like why this even exists. Like why do we even have this fraternity where we allow members of different beliefs to be in it? And it's essentially goes back, there's a little bit of debate on who started first. The Scots and the Londoners kind of argue over who had the first lodge, but essentially you're coming out of the era of the English Civil War. And prior to the English Civil War, you also have several other religious wars in Europe, and they were trying to create a society of men who had different religious beliefs, but could still come together and work on themselves and work together for good. That was the entire purpose of it, and why we allowed it to be open to these different religions. Yes, with some qualifiers, Jay.
Are those theological qualifiers?
Perhaps, if you want to label it that way.
Thanks. It was 2 hours to get this.
Does that make it a theology? Does that make it generic theologism?
Qualifiers.
That makes it some sort of qualifier against Satanism, makes it incompatible with Christianity.
These qualifiers, here's the problem. These qualifiers are not a matter of explicit written Masonic policy. These qualifiers are a practical outcome of the content of the membership.
All right, I think we've beat this to death. Let's I have a final question. I want to go around the horn, and anybody who wants to ask a question during this can go walk up over there and go towards the audience mic. Joel and Sarah, would you mind getting a position for that? And okay, so I want to ask a ending question real quick, and we can start with Chase and go all the way around here. If Paul were alive today, and he was writing a letter to Freemasonry more broadly. Now, I know it's not a centralized force. Let's just say the same letter goes to each lodge. So he's writing to, Freemasonry TM more broadly, the institution.
First Masons, chapter 3.
I don't usually like hypotheticals, but that's kind of a good hypothetical, talking about if Paul writing a letter to Freemasonry. That's a good hypothetical. That's a good one. Masons make my skin crawl. Me too, because my uncle was a Mason. My uncle, who used to teach me how to fix bikes and all that, used to teach me stuff. Never, I used to. My dad always thought he was a weirdo, but he says, brother of mine's a proper weirdo. But he taught me how to fix bikes. Then we found out later that he interfered with my cousins and stuff like that, and he was a Mason. So yeah, my uncle ended up find out he was a paedophile. He ended up having to have a quadruple heart bypass, and he's dead now. But and all he got for it, because it was 20 years after the fact, maybe longer, he got 2 years probation because of his epilepsy and mind state. What a bull crap. Legion, for we are many.
Well, what do you think Paul's sentiment towards Freemasonry would be? So he's writing letters to all churches, not just Freemasonry as, an institution or whatever, but would he have positive things to say, negative things to say? Do you think he'd be just indifferent, period? That's a really good question. And frankly, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I'd really hate to pretend that I could speak for the Apostle Paul. That said, Paul was a student of comparative religion. He did study other religions, and he went in and tried to connect with them. I can't think of a theological position of the Apostle Paul that would be contradictory towards Freemasonry. Maybe Jay has one.
Right. Well, so we actually have a biblical example of the very thing that was asked, which is essentially the Mars Hill discourse where Paul goes to debate the Greek philosophers and the pagans in Acts 17. And if you look at Acts 17, the philosophy that they have, and certainly there were probably different philosophers there, Stoics are mentioned, Epicureans are mentioned, but probably Platonists, Pythagoreans, who knows? But one of the dominant elements of Hellenic philosophy was the idea that the world was eternally in motion or eternally moved. And that's whether that's Plato's emanations or Plotinus's later emanations after Paul, or whether that's Aristotle's eternal mover arguments. Again, you heard me at the very beginning mention that in Basil's Hexameron in lecture 2, he mentions the deity of Aristotle being a dyad, which is an eternal world moved and essentially existing through the first cause or the first actualizer. So in that philosophy, you can see Paul refuting them in Acts 17, having essentially the philosophy of generic theism that Masonry holds to. And Paul argues that the deity that the Athenians are worshiping, he says that they even have an idol to the unknown God there without any name. And he says that deity that you claim to worship, this unknown God or this lost name that we mentioned earlier, that I mentioned earlier tonight, that Masonry has this lost name of God. Well, it turns out Paul actually answers all those questions. He says the unknown God is the one that you actually worship unknowingly. And I don't believe that that means that Masons are actually worshiping God or Christ. It is the Trinitarian deity that is expressed through the incarnation of the Lord Jesus Christ. So he actually says that we do know the name of God. It's Jesus. It's not Jabulon. It's not the Tetragrammaton, although the Tetragrammaton points to Christ. So the answer is in Acts 17, ironically.
All right. We got time for a few questions. Keep it to one, please, and go for it.
So on the Freemason side, I remember when you said that you don't know which books are in the Bible and which aren't, and I really like that kind of Christianity. I have here with me the recently discovered Gospel of Jack. It's a very short book, but it is divinely inspired and perfect, just like the rest of the Gospels. It says, and then Jesus said, give Jack all the money, all the women. He alone may have infinity wives. Do you reject the Gospel of Jack? If yes, why? Please, Jay, answer first.
Well, Christianity was provided by Christ with a normative authority within history to make these types of decisions in a synodal conciliar way. We can see in the first 1,000 years of the church that Christianity always had these types of local and ecumenical synods. And so that's the normative way that the church is governed. There are people who make the decisions of who's in and who's out. That's the Orthodox Church pretty clearly in the first 1,000 years. And I would say that that's probably still the case today.
Do I reject the Gospel of Jack?
Yeah, why?
Yes, I reject the Gospel of Jack. I'm going to answer the question why, other than the fact that it was, made up as an example and an argument to ask a question. It just doesn't. It doesn't line up with any the context of the current theology that I have. What I currently believe, it's unnecessary. It doesn't line up at all with any of the Christian philosophy in the New Testament.
So, do you determine the canon?
Do I determine? No, and Jesus does, but we do our best.
Where did Jesus determine the canon of Scripture?
I'm sorry. Where did Jesus determine Scripture? I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. Yes. So, here's my philosophy on the Bible. Let me just be explicit here. It's obvious from the New Testament that you can be a Christian before the Bible was compiled or written, right? It's obvious that people were being baptized Christian even before Jesus was dead or any of it actually happened. There was baptisms that were taking place. And one of the concerns that I have about contemporary Christianity, I don't mean to make this a specifically theological debate because it doesn't really matter what I think is true or not religiously. as far as is relevant to the argument that we're having about whether or not Freemasonry is compatible with Christianity. I think one of the mistakes that modern contemporary Christians make is they worship the Bible as a false idol, and they study it more than they contemplate and pursue a relationship with God. So if you can be a Christian without the Bible, that
How
means
can you say that as a Freemason, though? How can you say that as a Freemason when you put that before God?
that the Bible is it's something that's added that's unnecessary. It's important. It contains truth. It documents what happened historically. It explains the theology. But I feel miffed sometimes by Christians who spend all their time studying specific verses and specific letters that weren't even required to be known or written or conceived in order to be a Christian originally. And I think that we should focus on our relationship with God through Jesus Christ more than we focus on studying the scripture. I do feel that way personally. No, it's a controversial take.
Ryan, you want to answer that, or do you want to go to the next one?
What are we still on?
No, all right.
Are we actual Jack?
Yes. Let's just go to the next one here for time's sake.
I believe God is a paradox, and I think even now the Orthodox Church allows non-Christians beyond the nave. But my question is specific for Jay, but I welcome everyone to chime in. I'm employed at a multinational corporation. We have over 600,000 employees, and we even employ irreligious atheists. I have private closed-door business meetings with them. Does that conflict with my Roman Catholic Christian duties in religion?
I wouldn't think so. As a Roman Catholic, you have, I've never heard of anything that would conflict between a corporate stance unless you were through the corporation explicitly required to do something that would be a mortal sin or something like that.
Thank you.
Are you making the equivalence to Masonry?
If you gather that and deduce it, I think it's fair.
I think he's trying.
Oh, this is the questions. Cool. Hey, pushing buttons. I didn't notice you were there. I did see your name, but I forgot to say hello. Good to see you, bro.
I don't want to speak
Yeah,
for
I'm
him,
just
but
waiting for someone to come round to grab something. So if I do open the door, so I can hear the intercom and that.
I think he's trying to imply that he's trying to ask the question, what's the difference between working for an organization that allows people who deny Christ and in joining a fraternity that is ambiguous in its definition of the supreme being?
Because the ambiguity actually turned into specificity, which was the point. And your own Catholic Church dogmatizes and mandates that you can't be a Freemason in the canon law. So you would be against Roman Catholic canon law being a Mason, but you would not be against Roman Catholic canon law by being in a corporation. And the difference is precisely because Masonry, as we've seen tonight, is not just a philosophy or a secular society. It actually has an explicated theological requirement, and that was what I was trying to demonstrate. So it's a false equivalence.
It's a good point. I didn't make the equivalence. Let's go to the next one. Sorry. Good question. We got time for a few more, so go for it.
Hey, this is for Jay. Christ is risen, first of all. And quickly, do you have any plans for a Freemason cringe core track? And what are some good books that I can read on the Jewish and Kabbalistic connection with Freemasonry?
I might get my throat slit if I make a song.
Yeah, you gotta plug your own books, Jay.
That's just a joke. There's a great book that somebody sent me many years ago by William Green called The Blazing Star and the Jewish Kabbalah, and it's about the influence of Kabbalah on Freemasonry. William Green.
A question for the two Freemasons. St. Paul wrote about not being unequally yoked with unbelievers.
Yeah.
And I know you guys kind of touched on the oath taking and how we do take an oath in a courtroom and that sort of thing, but you call your lodge members brothers.
Yeah.
And I wonder about God specifically calls us in the Christian faith to be set apart from the world. Why would you fraternize with people who believe in a version of a deity that is Antichrist?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that, and Ryan, I'd like to hear your thoughts too. I think that distinguishing between who's a legitimate brother in Christ is different than qualifying people as fraternity brothers. So there are some brothers in the fraternity, for example, who I would not consider brothers in Christ. because we don't share the same theological. I wouldn't take communion with these people, but what we're doing in the Masonic Lodge is not. It's not like a religious sacrament or that type of communion. What would you say, Ryan?
Yeah, it's essentially that. I mean, I would just add to it that the idea that your original point about being unequally yoked. There is no, I've never had a Masonic brother
Yeah, professional liars, bro. Professional liars.
try to talk me out of my Christianity, to proselytize another faith. There's nothing that's made me doubt
Just like Scientologists, I suppose. Just like Scientologists.
my faith. It's a personal journey, an individual journey that exposes you to different ideas, but you're left up, as a man to still make your own determinations. And I've actually seen the opposite. I've seen men that joined the fraternity that didn't start out as Christians. Maybe they had a more deistic view. Maybe they were just kind of,
I'm an example of that.
And through their involvement in the fraternity, which stresses, it doesn't tell you which, but it stresses the need for you to seek out God. These men have become strong Christians through Freemasonry. And I've not seen the opposite. I've not seen a strong Christian man join and then somehow be turned into a Hindu or etc.
I would say that that's a great text because in the context of Corinthians, where Paul's talking about that, he's talking about religiously, physically, theologically, all types of unions that you could have with somebody. He says we can't share the table of demons and the table of God. We can't be unequally yoked. For example, he advises against marrying an unbelieving wife. So there are spiritual realities, according to Paul, that yoke us and link us through these types of oaths and organizations, even though they claim that it's purely secular. As we've seen, I think tonight, the claims are not actually, when they're fleshed out, purely secular. They're actually heavily theological. So I actually think this is a really good point.
Bring up the obligations again, where you're specifically told that
Roger in the house. Good to see you, son. Good to see you.
That they are not incompatible or above the obligations, the duties that you have to God, your family, your country.
Okay. Are you brotherhood yoked with Hindus?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Are you brotherhood yoked with Hindus?
That's what I was saying. Yoked. They're unequally yoked if they're in there with other religions. So it does not reconcile at all.
I mean, in the context of a lodge, I think probably the answer is yes. But yeah.
All right. I only have each one just for time's sake.
Okay, sure.
You made one final point.
But I'm brotherhood yoked with my biological brother too, regardless of what he believes, right?
Yeah, the implication there is that you somehow, because of that being yoked, as in a marriage perhaps, where, you have someone of a different faith that you're married to, that there's some obligation or pressure there to adopt their faith, and there's not.
Paul doesn't say that. He just simply says to be unequally yoked. I mean, could I be in the Mithra cult at the same time as being a Christian?
Says don't be unequally yoked. Right. You know the context. They know the context.
I don't think so.
All right. Next question. Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate the debate. This question is for Ryan. You talked about how a monotheistic Satanist would not pass a moral character test of Freemasons. So that kind of talks to objective morality. So I was wondering, how are Muslims able to become Freemasons when they believe in child brides, female circumcision, other demonic?
Wouldn't get in my lodge. I would say they would not be allowed. But there is
We're not asking you. We're asking the lodge.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's okay. You brought up a funny example about sati. Am I pronouncing that right? In one of your videos, satu, the practice of widow burning in Hinduism. And you imply that, because we may allow a Hindu that we would have to accept this practice of widow burning. I think.
No, the argument is what he said. What's the argument? It's arbitrary.
Did you not make that claim, or am I misstating?
The point of the argument is not that you support widow burning. It's that the ethics are arbitrary.
No, they're not. the entire system, the degrees are teaching very specific ethics philosophies.
And we saw that was from we don't know where. Cardinal virtues. Okay, says who?
That was one small example, but I mean,
you never said where they're from. You said I don't know.
No, I said we pull from a lot of different religions, and
you pull from religions for your ethics. Oh, oops. Remember, this wasn't a thing.
Roger, hey, how you doing, bro?
Hey, PJ. Good.
Hey.
How about yourself?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, we're nearly finished here. We've got quarter an hour left, then we're over Rumble.
What are you doing on Rumble?
A film and a couple of episodes of Supernatural. I've got to see my son tomorrow, so I can't be too long on Rumble.
Nice. You get to see your son, huh? It's been a while.
Yeah, his new house. Yeah, his new house and that. So yeah, it's either Red Belt or The Ghost and the Darkness. One or the other.
You gonna flip a coin?
Don't know. I'll probably do. I don't know. Ghost in the Darkness. I don't know.
Who's in Ghost in the Darkness? I have never seen it. So.
I haven't seen it either. It's something that what's his face? Canal suggested. It's Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer. Let me just read the synopsis on it.
It's got to be like a detective story or something, ain't it?
No, they're out in the safari. No, they're in safari back in 1914 or something like that. 1940s or something. Hold on. The Ghost.
Who goes on safari?
1996 it is. So John Patterson, a British engineer, along with Charles Rem and a hunter, tries to kill two deadly lions that attack workers who are assigned to build a bridge over a river.
I know the story. Okay, yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They reenacted that on Top Gear, actually.
Sounds like the bridge over the River Kwai.
Yeah.
So what you think about this debate? Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I'm certainly been on. There's only been a couple of things I disagreed with Jay on. I disagree with him on other things, obviously. But in this debate, great. He's been great.
Thank God.
Theological society pulls from religion.
Didn't you agree that religions contain philosophies that weren't theological?
I'm just going by what you just said.
Yeah. So do
you pull from religions?
We pull your ethics philosophies that are. You just said religions.
You messed up and said religions.
No, we pull from religions. We pull philosophies that English with it.
Do you pull your ethics from religions? That's what he said.
And not just religions. Some of it, there is some stuff. So
you tripped up and undid all of your first hour of argument.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
you just said you pull from religions. That undoes everything in the first hour.
I've said that.
You refuted your whole first hour with that statement right there.
We've already hit this topic. Let's go to the next person, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think you kind of already touched with a previous question, but Jesus says, "No one comes to the Father but through me." Yeah. Do y'all make, as Christians and being Masons, do you make an effort to proselytize Muslims or Buddhists or?
As a Christian, certainly. As a Mason, not explicitly.
In the lodge itself, we can't discuss religion or politics. Again, just going back to this idea of trying to have some sort of unity when we're working together. So those types of discussions do not happen within the lodge itself.
Even though he just pulls his ethics from religion.
Yeah.
And you just gave me all the religion.
Naturally, as you get to know people as individuals, build relationships, you end up having these conversations. So yes, but not in the context.
What's with the Roger Ledowitz? Roger Ledowitz.
PJ, you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm saying, what's with the Roger Ledowitz?
I'm Jewish now. You know that?
Oh, you're Jewish. Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
The Witz, the Stein, the Steen. What else do you need?
Okay, I get you.
Everybody on South Channel's got.
Are you Kabbalah Jew or good Jew? If there is such a thing. Anyway.
Well, I think there's good Hebrews out there that are actually descendant of Abraham. Yeah, sure there are.
Oh, of course there is. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying they're good because the only thing that's good is God.
Yeah. The Pharisees, Sadducees, another story, and then the Khazarians and Azakanaki are different. You want to say hi to
Yeah,
DJ?
Roger's definitely rocking the Mason symbolism as well. Absolutely, man.
Oh yeah,
Roger.
well, that's Soundgarden.
Yeah, man.
Say hi to Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda. How you doing?
Hi, PJ. I'm good.
Cool.
She's got me pants. You want to show me? Camouflage too.
Say again.
I can hide in the woods.
You can hide in the woods. That sounds a bit naughty. If she's wearing camouflage pants and you're saying I can hide in the woods, that sounds a bit amorous, bro.
JJ said hi, Rhonda.
Hi, JJ.
Yeah.
Hi, PJ.
Yeah, right. She wants to come get on camera, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, she does.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Good talking to you, Rhonda.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
No one stands up in the lodge and tries to proselytize one religion over another. But me as a Christian, I will talk about my faith with brothers, yes.
Okay. And I don't know if y'all can talk about, somebody read Angels and Demons, how they...
The context of the Bible, of your scripture, of your faith that you're meant to adhere to, that you're meant to, have faith and have a relationship with God. It would say that they are not your brothers, but you're calling them your brothers in that brotherhood context. Well, that just shows that you shouldn't be part of another brotherhood if you have Christian brothers.
No, Christians shouldn't be part of a shrine or a lodge or anything.
No, certainly shouldn't. Certainly shouldn't.
Talk about Catholic Church and Masonry. Maybe y'all can talk about that.
Sorry, no follow-ups, dude. Love you, but we got to get to the next person. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question's for Jay Dyer. You said earlier that you think the Orthodox Church is the true way and other Christians are being heretical, or am I misreading that?
No, you're not.
Okay, when we made a covenant with Jesus, which is an intimate spiritual relationship, we didn't make a covenant with a corporeal body like a church, like that's a place.
I agree with this guy there. 100%. I agree with him against Jay Dyer here. Absolutely.
Let me go get Rhonda. Hold on. She got to say hi to everybody. I'm just kidding. I'll let her know, Super.
So isn't that an antithetical belief in itself?
Isn't it what? A what belief?
Like antithetical, like it doesn't make sense. It's almost like an oxymoron because we made a covenant with Jesus. When he died, he made a new covenant with us. It's not to a rigid church structure.
Paul said there's one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one body. And if you go through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th centuries, that body is your...
No, that body is Christ. But the church is Christ's body. The people, not no buildings and any kind of organization.
Orthodox Church.
But what leads you to believe that when we made a covenant with him individually?
You make the covenant with him in his church, his body. Mm-hmm. So it's not it's a false either or to say it's just
you
and
are
Jesus.
The body, not the organization is not the body. The people of Christ are the body.
This is just like an evangelical idea.
It's not an evangelical.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right, last question of the night.
You're religious, Jay Dyer.
Hey, for the two Freemasons Chase, I'm sorry I don't remember your name, sir. This is a really old question for Masons. I'm sure y'all will knock it out of the park.
What the hell is he wearing in his heart? Is this some kind of logo? I mean, I know it's not Islam, but it looks like Islam. I mean, it's got a crescent moon and a star, different shaped star, but what logo is this? But it kind of looks like an alternative Islam symbol.
Small one, and it's not hypothetical. When a professing Christian comes as an initiate to Freemasonry and comes from darkness seeking the light, what is the light that they're searching for outside of Christ and the church?
Good question. Sure. That's a good question. Yeah, so I would argue that the motif in Masonry of
star and the moon. We had two moons there, different shaped star, but it was still very Islamic.
Coming from dark
alternative Islam symbology.
Darkness to life is a metaphor or a symbol for the importance of always endeavoring to pursue the truth. And it's not a claim that Masonry has a truth beyond or better than or more absolute than Jesus Christ specifically. It's just an emphasis on the importance of always pursuing absolute truth. So as a Christian, for example, the way that I would experience that in the context of Masonry is, are you coming from darkness to light? It's part of that perpetual effort to become a better person, a better Christian. So that's a really good question, but no, I disagree with that. I 100% disagree with that.
Yeah, but you see, they always switch back to what their personal beliefs are when they're asked about what Masonic philosophy and teaching is. So they go back and forth, which is a game.
It's not a game. It's literally the truth.
It's evading the question that's asked about Masonry, and then you dishonestly go and say, well, my personal belief is this, but as a Mason is this. The questions are all about Masonry, not your personal beliefs.
Well, when Masonry doesn't have a particular stance on that and people ask our beliefs, we're giving them our personal
He
beliefs.
was asking you about Masonry when a Christian becomes a Mason in the light, and then you said, well, my personal belief, but no, the question is about Masonry teaching about the light.
Yeah, Masonry, light is just a symbolism for like further knowledge. So in the context of, how does if a Christian already knows the truth, how would they pursue further truth? Am I misquoting you? Is that loosely the correct question?
He's saying if you're a Christian and you're entering and they say, you're going, Ryan, darker side or it's all light. But see, you don't already have. I understand. Yeah, I'm just reiterating for Ryan. He's asking.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that implication in the symbolism of what light is. While I'm a Christian and I believe in this ultimate truth, I also don't have this false belief that I know everything. I'm going.
Nobody was claiming that.
I'm going to. Yeah, it is my duty as a man, as a Christian, as a Mason to continue to try to seek out and understand truth and further my knowledge.
All right, final question tonight.
I would like to say that according to Albert Pike, he says, Lucifer, son of the morning, it is he that bears the light.
Yeah.
And who with splendors intolerable blinds the feeble souls. Doubt it not, for the traditions are full of divine revelations and inspirations, such as Plato, Philo, etc. So he is saying that it's not for everybody, but according to the 19th degree, they are supposed to despise the pomps and works of Lucifer, even though he's the one that brings light.
Yeah, so love to take that one out of context, don't you? So the full quote is the Apocalypse. Now, granted, this is like a 1,000-page book on comparative religion. The word Lucifer is mentioned in this one section. Here is the full quote, and technically not even the full one because there's a lot more to it. But the Apocalypse is, to those who receive the 19th degree, the apotheosis of that sublime faith which aspires to God alone and despises the pomps and works of Lucifer. Love to leave that part out. And then you start with Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. This is Pike commenting on the irony of the etymology of the word Lucifer, meaning light bearer, to describe a spirit of darkness. And then he goes on, Lucifer, son of the morning, another morning star, another meaning of Lucifer. Is it he who bears the light? And with its splendors intolerably blinds feeble sensual or selfless souls. He's essentially saying it is first ironic that Lucifer, which means light bearer or morning star, is a name given to a spirit of darkness. And as part of that irony, perhaps it's because Lucifer, who bears the light with its splendor, blinds the feeble.
But does he bring the revelation?
No.
Well, that's what he says. He says, for the traditions are full of divine revelations and inspirations from this Lucifer.
What's your implication, Jay, that Pike worships Lucifer?
Albert Pike is a perennialist, so perhaps. But the next paragraph says, the Zohar and the Apocalypse are the embodiments of occultism, and these give us the meanings of the Temple of Solomon.
We can keep just.
Does he? By the way, the next paragraph, he doesn't want me to talk about the next piece. He doesn't want me to say what the next paragraph says, which is that the Mason is concerned with the mysteries of the Temple of Solomon, which is derived from the Zohar, which is the Talmudic.
Right, guys, I ain't ignoring you. Just Eddie come around to grab something. I'm just talking. Just talking.
No, the Zohar is part of the Talmud. Why are they talking about it?
Yeah, well, it is. It is part of the Talmud, Hey, no, hold on. Not the Talmud. You're talking about the Kabbalah, not the Talmud. Talmud's the actual. Talmud's the actual 5 books of Moses. The Tanakh is the
No.
full of the Old
You're talking about
Testament
the Torah.
in Hebrew.
So you're
Yeah,
getting
but
the Torah. I'm talking about the Talmudic writings, not the Torah.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were on about the Torah.
No.
Why did I get that mixed up? No, the Tanakh is the full Old Testament.
Yeah.
But obviously then the Torah is the first 5. The
Yeah.
Talmud, sorry, that's the horrible friggin' that's the commentary on the teachings and stuff like that. Yeah, the Talmud. Some of it sounds bad, but some of it sounds bad to a certain degree because it's saying if this happens, then this should be the consequence. Like it does mention about like PDFs and that, but it's not saying it's okay. It's saying if that's to happen, then this is what you do. You know what I mean? Sort of thing.
But if you take it in context, they actually think that the Pharisees and even I think some of the Sadducees are even higher than Moses is writing directly from God.
Well, they certainly ain't. They're just religious. They're just religious.
But I mean,
that's why Jesus called them brood of vipers. Sadducees and the Pharisees, a brood of vipers, because of the religion and the man-made tradition. And
so there's no difference in a Talmudic rabbi. And
it's just I know, but it's just taken from the teachings. I'm not saying it's all true and good. I'm just saying it's taken from the teachings and it's a concept that this should happen if that happens and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I got Talmud mixed up with the bloody Torah. It's because I'm so busy trying to correct people on the Torah and the Tanakh. They get it mixed up and sort of thing. And the Torah is just the first 5. And as soon as I heard something start with T, I was like, oh, hold on a minute.
Moses wouldn't have anything to do with any of this crap, dude. I'm telling you. Right?
No, of course he wouldn't have. Of course he wouldn't have. Are you off yours? Is that yours, by the way? Did you leave that here last time?
No, that's Harry's.
Oh, Harry's. Okay. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was yours or Harry's because Harry usually uses the other thing. Right, I'll come and lock the door.
And
I'll see you tomorrow afternoon after I've seen my son and that. Let me just say again, Roger.
Right. I said searching for truth and then saying that they're not claiming to be more of a truth than Christianity. That's nonsense.
Of course,
and doublespeak.
Yeah, it's doublespeak. There's a lot of doublespeak going on.
If you already have the truth, what more truth are you going to get?
Less mine. Yeah. No problem, dude. No problem. See you tomorrow, bro. Yeah, that's Eddie. That's like one of my new friends through Harry. Harry's known him for longer than me, obviously. I've known Harry, but he's just finished work and he's like if all the weed dealers and all that are, it's too late for them midnight. So
you never have.
Just asked me for a few joints till tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, of course, come on, man. I'll give you a few joints, no problem.
Well, I went to the Green Dragon. Remember how I gave you the list? I got my daughter. She lives in Missouri, so they don't have the prices we got here. So I went and bought all the stuff here. I bought her enough to last her at least a month or two.
I'm still got
$300 to $400, man.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have to do that when I'll do it once I've moved and stuff, and when I've got that money. Yeah, because I'll
and I can pick it up. I picked it up for her. I can do the same.
Yeah, of course. Nice one.
No problem. And Super's right.
Sorry, say again.
Super has made a good point out here.
What did he say?
He's a Freemason pushing, and all Freemasons are my enemy.
Oh yeah. I've read that ages ago. Yeah, of course.
Stick teach.
Out of context, but we can just.
It's not out of context. No, it's not.
Rejecting the wild and useless speculations of the Zendavesta, the Kabbalah, the Gnostics, and the schools or the religion and so.
Well, he doesn't tell us what the wild speculations are when he's a perennialist.
Let's make this real simple. Kabbalah, and he's called. Let's make wild and useless speculations.
Let's make this very simple. What does he say then about the Trinity and the deity of Christ? He goes on pages 574 and 575 to say that the Holy Spirit is not a person and the Trinity is a false teaching. Because don't interrupt me. Origin said he says Origin.
Yeah, buddy.
He says Origin He says Origin is the true teacher of Christianity with his Neoplatonism. So he denies the Trinity one chapter later.
Just because Albert Pike denies it, here we go. Does not mean that.
Why are you trying to deny? Why are you trying to defend him?
And we've even
you were defending him.
Even been explicit and stated.
It doesn't matter, right? They were defending him, but now it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not letting you take a quote out.
Does
of
he deny the
context
Trinity? Does he
imply
deny the
that-
Trinity in this
Your
chapter?
implication is that we're Luciferian.
Does he? Yeah, because you deny the Trinity here.
Yeah.
You are Luciferian. You are. You are. And you're a third degree Mason, so you know you're a Luciferian.
You see the way he's posturing up, PJ?
Yeah, yeah, they are Luciferian. They might not. Look, they said earlier, they go like the to the one true light. Now, to us, obviously, that's Jesus. To them, it's the light bearer. They're talking about the light bearer.
Lucifer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The light bearer, Lucifer.
These
It's
people
his
might as
name.
well be hanging out with Anton LaVey.
Right, right. He's a Satanist, but still, absolutely. It's the same theology, except Satanists believe there is an entity, Satan, but Luciferians allegedly just think it's an ideology. Of course, they know there's an entity of Satan.
Well, what the true atheist doesn't believe, that it's just all an ideology. But why do you even talk about it? You know,
right, right.
It has validity.
And we worship.
Right, of course.
Does he deny the Trinity in the next chapter?
I'd have to look at that chapter, but maybe.
Yeah, he says that Origin had the true doctrine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's irrelevant what Pike says because that's his opinion.
Right. But you wanted to defend it a minute ago when he asked about it.
No, I wanted to make sure that you weren't, trying to basically leave out the first sentence of a quote to make it seem like we
teaches that
pro Lucifer while
he says
not explaining the part where it's very clearly.
He says the world is an eternal emanation of God on page 575, which is the Origenist teaching.
Yeah. Okay.
So he denies creation.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you don't care that you're in. All right, you're in league with these guys. This is your spiritual yoke. All right.
No.
You are.
No.
What do you mean? You just admitted you're yoked with these guys, and you think it's funny.
No.
Okay. All right. Emily, are you asking a question? Yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize there's one more over there. Go for it.
So the whole purpose of all of this is curiosity. So this question comes out of curiosity. This is for Jay. So if we go back to when everybody was talking about the specifications of utilizing God's image, using when you walk into the temples, there's images of God, therefore it must be a religious group. What then would be your counter argument to the Pledge of Allegiance or the statements that the country uses? Because
I would pledge allegiance.
I got a question. Do we have images of God when we go into our churches? Does it say something where in the Bible to not make any images?
Don't make for yourself engraved images.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, like obviously Catholics not have the crucifix up there, and they shouldn't. And we have like some Christian churches have the cross to represent it, but they're not worshiping it. They're not worshiping it. But and I don't go to any churches, so I've got a picture of a bloody cross up there. That's just to represent Christ. I don't sit there and worship it, and I'm not making any engraving images for myself. It's just a picture painting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The way I look at it, PJ, is that
the only church I've got is the body of Christ. I don't go into any building that have got all this religious iconography.
Yeah. But the way I look at the cross personally, I think it's a reminder to us of what Christ did for us.
Just like the fish, sort of thing. Absolutely. But when it comes to a crucifix, that's a whole different story. Different story.
Putting Christ on the cross again.
Christ is still on the cross then, yeah. He's always on the cross, no matter what. He's on the cross. He came off of it.
It don't make no sense to me. No.
They only pledge allegiance to your flag, your offer dress. Like I said, it's taking things out of context. When you get, they were talking about marriage being being like swearing an oath. I don't think it is. It's an agreement before God when it's marriage. A vow, a promise is different from swearing on something for this to happen, that to happen. That's bringing curse and judgment on yourself. I think a marriage is a totally different thing under God. It's them twisting things up and saying, well, if that's you're allowed to oath this, but you're not allowed to oath that. That's not an oath. That's a promise. It's when you're swearing or making an oath, you're swearing on something. When you're getting married, you're agreeing to love, honor, and obey them all your life. That's it. You're not making any bloody oaths on anybody's name. It's a different thing. They twist things to make it sound They're like, it's the same. Red herring.
We are inclusive of all sorts of different beliefs. The country itself is inclusive of all sorts of religions. But your argument would base that we therefore require to be a Christian nation.
Yeah,
and through that, does not all moral value come out of religious philosophies at some point or another?
I'm not sure what you mean about the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you asking, like, is it?
We say one nation under God. I know what it is. Is the Orthodox philosophy or theology compatible with what's actually saying the pledge?
The entire.
What's that? I meant like kids pledge allegiance to the flag that they are offered. Right. Okay. I got you.
Our American Enlightenment ethos is premised on the Masonic idea of an Enlightenment deistic type of deity that is sufficiently generic that you can paste onto it whatever you want. So I forget the woman's name that came up with the pledge. She was like some sort of weird socialist woman. Point being is that, yeah, that actually comes out of the very Masonic ethos that we're criticizing. So, I mean, inherently, is it wrong to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Not necessarily, but saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
But it's an ambiguous God. It's just,
If you mean, look, if I say I believe one nation, I'm not joining a society which is requiring me to have some sort of generic.
You're just pledging the allegiance to be in yoke with everybody else who takes the same pledge.
You guys dogmatize that it's a generic theism. I can say the Pledge of Allegiance meaning the Trinity, right?
Right. You can also join Masonry, meaning the Trinity.
Yeah.
He thinks he's got a gotcha there.
Not a gotcha. It's not the same as swearing an oath. I mean, but the thing is, I wouldn't do that either. I mean, I wouldn't pledge no allegiance to a flag or whatever. I just wouldn't do it.
Now, the thing is, with the founders of our country, if you look into the history, they're all from like the heretic sect.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the socialists, and especially the women, the older women who capitalized on America's founding, they got rich off of it. But they took all this money and they had a plan, like a century-long plan. So they formed the politics that we have now. And they left their basically their minions have leeway. That's why they're getting away with like the movements that they're throwing out in the last decade. They have precedent. They're trying to make precedent too by creating a legal fiction with these groups like LGBTQ and all this crap. That they try to get it in the public eye and get it validated by taking people to court, suing them for things.
It's all part of the world stage. It's all bullshit, and it doesn't matter what politics say.
Yeah,
politics get the policies that politicians come out with may sound good, but what happens once they get in? No, total opposite of what they say.
Yeah, it's already been planned out already.
Yeah, and if there's anything that they do that's any good, that's because it's just a guise, because the bad's going to come later.
Yeah, of course.
It's a false sense of security.
And that's why we get all these psyops too, and all the distractions that go with it. Yeah.
Right. And there's millions of them. Millions, man.
Argument have they dog. Oh my God! You have me go that thing. So you just say I pledge allegiance to an ambiguous God, same thing, and you'd be yoked with everybody else who pledges allegiance to the same country. It's not different somehow than joining an organization that also has an ambiguous word for God.
It doesn't know how grammar works. It's not the same thing. First of all, because your society requires
how grammar works. So now I'm just arguing words. Now we're just arguing semantics.
The entire argument has been words from you guys and semantics.
Oh, I see.
And your own personal subjective positions. Yeah. You think you got a gotcha? You didn't get a gotcha. First of all, you require theological positions to join the lodge. That was the argument.
You require theological positions to take the pledge.
I'm not joining a lodge by taking the pledge. I'm saying
you're being yoked with everybody else who pledges to the same allegiance to a nation. You're voluntarily committing yourself, dedicating yourself to our argument.
The argument was that Masonry has a generic theism that it claims, and then it specifies all of these other criteria. If I say the pledge, I'm not specified to have all of these Enlightenment doctrines and heretical doctrines, as your cult says, that make me able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I can say the Pledge of Allegiance and not have to abide by a bunch of heterodox doctrines that your dumb cult teaches. That's why it's a false equivalent.
Well, when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you're abiding by a number of things. About what? You're abiding by a number of things. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Nothing in
And to the republic for which it stands, not nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty, and all sorts of claims about nation
that is antithetical to Orthodox Christianity.
and nothing in Freemasonry is antithetical to Christianity whatsoever.
Yes, it is, and that was the whole point of the argument.
I mean, you could literally say the Pledge of Allegiance of via Muslim, and it's totally just equally applicable to you. And if you're a Christian, you say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Are you this day?
It's the same shit.
No, it's not. The fact that you can do it does not mean that your society doesn't have theological dogmas. That was the argument. So you're making a straw man, which was not what I argued.
Okay. I agree to disagree.
It's not the same.
I fail to see the difference whatsoever.
The fact that you fail to see that's a psychological report. It's irrelevant to the fact that it is different, because if I say the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm not required to believe. Let me ask you this. Am I required to believe in the Masonic doctrine of God? Right?
There is no Masonic doctrine of God.
There is. They're lying. We saw in the first hour that there is. And then he admitted that their doctrines come from religion. Their ethics come from religion. He said he messed up when he said that.
I didn't mess up. I said the same thing.
Let me say the Enlightenment doctrine of God. If I say the Pledge of Allegiance, there's nothing that requires me to have an Enlightenment interpretation of the word God.
There's nothing that requires you to have an Enlightenment interpretation of the word God or Henry.
Yes, there is.
False.
That's what the whole debate showed, and you guys contradict yourself 20 times trying to explain how it wasn't the case.
No.
This whole debate showed that. All right, leave a comment under the video.
Hey.
Who's right here?
Thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming out.
Yeah.
Nice one for that, JJ. Nice one, brother. Excellent. So we'll play out with the Harry Matt and go over to Rumble. But yeah, that was worth watching. That was worth watching. Like I say, I don't agree with Jay on a lot of things, but this debate, yeah, he smashed it. He smashed it in this one. There's a few things I didn't agree with him on. And I kind of think at the end he did contradict himself a little bit. But, you know, apart from that, I prefer his stance all the way through. Yeah, I was with. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the way you got the gotcha. He caught it too. He got some kind of gotcha there.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the Pledge of Allegiance of all things, dude. God.
Right. Let's do this. Nah, it's all good. Okay.
What's up? You guys want to hear a freestyle? What do you got?
Rumble Lane.
Let's do it. Yeah. Give me some words. Creative, challenging words. No food, no animals. Oh, orange, silver, the unrhymable words. Yes. Orange, silver, and purple. Plastic. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Museum. How about that?
Museum. Yep. Mama Mia. Yeah. Apostrophe. Yes. That's really good. Ball. All right. So the unrhymable words, we'll just call it that. Plastic, museum, apostrophe. No, did you said apostrophe? You said Mama Mia, apostrophe, and ball. Those are the words, right? Should we try this? Let's get it. We're going to go with, let me mark that last beat I just did. Boom. We're going to try this one. Okay. Something epic, you know? All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Crazy when it comes to these freestyle bars. My mind is absurd. My man, he gave me the ultimate challenge, the unrhymable words. But ain't no word unrhymable. Y'all know I get busy in the circle. Yeah, matter of fact, I'ma get you lifted. Like you smoking on the weed that's purple. I told you when I rhyme, I'm a freestyle killer. When it come to lyrics, ain't nobody iller. Y'all know my rhymes will explode. I be shining like gold. All these other rappers shining like silver. They lower tier, check out the way that I perform. All about the cipher, I can never be torn. In the instrumental, I'm about to leave it scorn. I'ma peel these lyrics off my brain like an orange. Yeah, y'all know I be opening up, so better witness. Hit a rapper in the eye with the citrus. Y'all know I be doing my thing. Under every syllable, they trying to cling. Hit them up with the double time, I get down. People love the way that I provide the sound. Y'all know I'm real and there ain't no way to act it. You be sipping water out the bottle made of plastic. Yeah, y'all know I'ma blow it up. Hey, from the very moment that I'm showing up. This what I was meant for, bruh. It's essential to me. me like a century. Y'all know other rappers never violated. I be sipping water, I be staying hydrated. Yeah, y'all know I be winning twice and I lose 0. And my name's Harry, that's H2O. I spit crazy flows 2-0 with the bars. Every time that I be spitting, I go hard. I'ma bring it down. Y'all know what we all about. I read it out the jacket cause we really in the house. Mac up on it, gotta keep it honest. Even from a distance, you see him. Matter of fact, him my rhyme pages on the wall of the Louvre. Put me all up in a museum. Y'all know I be going where they can't go. Hang me up on the wall like Van Gogh. Matter of fact, change my first name to Pablo. No, not a gangster. I'm not Pablo Picasso. Yeah, I thought so. I'ma fill the canvas. When they come to lyrics, they know Mac gon' get the ampest. They some wannabes. I be flowing off the mental. Rappers belong on Comedy Central. Yeah, y'all can go through and cop the tickets. Anytime I rhyme off the mental, I get wicked. Y'all know that I'm ready to take it beyond with the craziest songs. So when he's rapping, they gon' say he's a Don. H-Mac be the stronger, freer. When he's rapping, they be yelling out, Mamma Mia. Oh my God, how's he doing all that? Never ever faking, I'll be true with my rap. Yeah, I'm the ever dope, and I got the better quote. Shouts to my man who be lamping in the leather coat. H-Mac really getting busy going mad. Shout my man with the Carhartt layered with the plaid. Anything I see is gon' enter. I'ma leave a permanent mark that they remember. Killing the beat, that be my primary agenda. Every time I rhyme, I serve you, I'm a bartender. I'ma serve it to you on a coaster. Brag a boast to do the most. I make it happen off the top and rapping. I be snapping, really ain't no stopping me. Check the way I live the freeze. I'ma keep on going till I have to stop.
Yeah,
I'ma
absolutely.
keep it honestly, cause I throw a rhyme up, let it
I'm
hang
not
up
too.
high in the air just like an
I'm not too.
apostrophe. Yeah, y'all know
Me
that I'm
too.
controlling this. Apostrophe, that means ownership. This is Harry's mic, Harry's rhyme. Every time I spit, I be making y'all shine. But let go of the apostrophe, it's not about me. It's more about the audience, it's about we. It's about the collective. I'ma bring the remedy. I couldn't do these bars without y'all bringing energy. Yeah, thank you for lifting me up. Every time I feel down, fans picking me up. I'ma make it happen non-stop. Keep on climbing till I'm really on top. Boom, we about to let the bomb drop. Y'all know that Mac ain't never gonna fall. I'ma keep it moving, I ain't never gonna stall. Every time I rap, they know I give my all. Hit the ground and I bounce back, dribble in the ball. Mac, when I'm on it, man, y'all know I'm about to hit the dunk. Off the metal, I'ma bring the funk. I'm making people jump when I be performing too loud, doing that proud. When I'm spitting, I be forming the crowd. I'ma bring it together, last forever. Every time I spit like this, other artists just some hypocrites. Hey, y'all know when I'm rhyming, they be loving the vibe. They be filming me when they popping up on the side. Hit peace to the fans, we expand. I'm the man, better witness. This a nightmare before Christmas. H-Mac, change a rap to the foulest scene. It gets scary like Halloween. Can't nobody match to my rapping patterns. My lyrics cut a rapper's face. Jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, I'ma break it down. Y'all know when I spit, I'm getting lit. Keep it in motion, I'm never gonna quit. I'm throwing pounds all around. I be giving thanks. When they come to lyrics, they know I'm top ranked. Y'all know I rap for the art of rap. I gotta thank y'all for being a part of that. I put smiles on their faces, spreading that joy. Real positivity they can't avoid. Good energy like this can't be destroyed. If y'all are rocking with me, go and make some noise. Let's go.
Oh.
Hey.
Let's go.
Well, I got good news yesterday.
Did ya?
Yeah. I got an email saying that my ID has now been verified with the address of what it said.
Yeah, I'm still bloody having trouble getting my provisional sorted. I went to do it twice and things happened, so I've got to go and do it again. So I'm nowhere near that part yet.
I'm just
I've
waiting
still got
for
to
the
send my
verification.
provisional off to get it to come back, and then I've got to bloody put it in there. Then they'll do that. You know, I've still got a fair bit to go before that happens.
Yeah, but my address doesn't match my apartment here at all.
Weird.
I don't know why.
It's weird. But it's the only ID I have. I haven't got a passport on that, and it's out of date, so I have to get that sorted before I can do it. You know. So yeah.
Well, I got like $28 in super chats just sitting there.
I've got a fair bit. Well, not a fair bit, but I mean, I would say, I don't know. I don't think I've hit the minimum yet to get.
No, I haven't got the minimum. Like
because obviously $60, yeah. That because YouTube take obviously,
yeah. I'll probably see $20 out of it when I get done.
Yeah, if that.
Why do it? It's like.
But if you go into your content now you're monitoring, you look in it and it will show you videos and the possible outcome and what they can get. Have you seen that in your content?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
If you go into your content and stuff in YouTube Studio, it tells you the possible outcome you could get and stuff. And I'm like, but I'm not even got adverts on. You know what I mean? It's not.
Neither do I.
We're second tier monetization. We're not first tier, so we don't get that anyway. So why are they telling me?
Oh yeah, like I see it now. I just went to the content detection.
See what I mean? Estimated and all that. Yeah.
Well, my stream last night's not going to get anything.
No, but there's weird because I'm looking at some and it said I could have got $11 for that, and it's got less views than the rest of them. And I'm like, what? How does that work? You know?
Yeah, all I did was play pop music and rock and roll.
Yeah,
last
first
night.
tier is at 1,000 subs, Justin. Yeah, definitely. I'm second tier, and I haven't even got memberships because I've got a lot of copyright in my stuff. You know what I mean? Not copyright that strikes me, but copyright that stops me monetizing. So
Yeah.
they've took the membership tier away. I dare say when I'm on 1,000 though, they'll put it back. I don't know. We'll see.
I wonder how many subs I got. No, I haven't looked anymore. But
I think I'm on 756. That's what I'm on.
you should see my description. It was called High Value Male. You ever heard that description before?
No. I have now. Right, Rumble. Links there, guys. Did I put the link in? Oh, I've done.
You did. Well, I'm not going to stay for the whole movie. I'll watch the rest of it, but I got to go work on the car too.
Yeah. Cool. No probs. Right. So yeah, we've got a couple of episodes of Supernatural. First episode 6 and 7 of season 2. We did 3 the other day. So let's go over that.
Yeah, I'm almost to 600, PJ.
Fair play.
Where are you at? You're at 7, right?
756.
I'm not going to catch up with you.
Yeah, of course you will. Like there was at one point you were like 300 behind me. You'll definitely catch up. I mean, because you get your subs come in quicker than mine do. Without that.
Yeah, I got some weirdos come in there. I had one girl named Special K come in, and her bio read she's a Barbie hooker.
Oh, great, fantastic. Special K means she looks ketamine.
Yeah, I know.
She said, no, she likes the movie Breakdance, and she liked Kelly from Breakdance. Her name was Special K.
She told me she was naming it after the breakfast cereal.
Okay, whatever. Kelly's Special K. Could be, but I don't know. Right, yes, guys. I will see you over in Rumble. If I don't see you in Rumble, it's my day off today. So, like after stream day, I won't be on again until Sunday night, or maybe Sunday afternoon, but definitely Sunday night for movie night. So we'll see the rest of you then. The other gadgets, I'll see you in Rumble. So here the sunset's free. It's free.
Indeed.
He's over there. And ta-ta. Bless yous.